My buddy Dash for this episode of Double Take. Dave, I just said joined by Dash, but we're joined by Dash
Talking
and
in
Dave.
the third person. That's
The way you
weird.
look,
The way you feel.
What's going on? Good evening, everyone. Welcome into the Colin show. Get it? See, play of words there. Play of words. We love you, Colin. We always got to give you some banter there, but this is going to be a call-in show. Obviously, during the international break, there's a couple of things that we're going to talk about. Obviously, we can recap the video or the live stream that we did with Misak, just because I'm pretty sure all of you weren't present when we did it live. So I'm sure there's going to be some challenging points, some discussion that we'll have there. I'm just going to give you a disclaimer. Essentially, I will talk on my interpretation of it. I can't really put words in Misak's mouth because Misak isn't here. Misak is probably sleeping. So bear with me, guys. I will try to illustrate some of the points, but I'm not going to put words in his mouth that aren't things that he said himself. And also, if you come in and saying, well, Misak's an idiot and that video is dumb, your argument's invalid right then and there. So
Right. And let's clarify something too. I want to stipulate. And hello. I mean, Dash got right into the lawyering stuff right away.
Yeah, so, the viewer discretion is advised.
Yeah. So chill out a little bit. We'll get into it, of course. But we did that with Misak at that time because that's when it worked for all of us. And that's what we're trying to do as well, is we try to work with our schedule and when we can your schedule if we have you guys on as well, right? So if sometimes it seems like a weird time or that it's only this one guy given their point of view, because I mean Colin ranted at us pretty hard. I don't know if he's here yet. I'm waiting for Colin because it is his show. He knows it's his show. He said he'll be here. But anyways, yeah, I mean, sometimes just scheduling. You got to keep that in mind, right? We try to do our best. We got full-time jobs and then some, right? So, I mean, we're here. Colin, it's your show. I gave you the link exclusively. So if you are here, you get to jump in before everyone else to give your monologue.
He's here. He's that guy.
All right.
There he is. Is that the sweet tea? Is that the sweet tea that the one guy knocked the other dude out with? No? What was it called? It's called something.
What's called what? Sorry. I had the YouTube thing on in the background.
No. There's that one tea, that tap tea, that one guy at the 7-Eleven that knocked the shit out of the other dude with it. Like he took it, flipped it, and smoked him with it. Oh, I've totally killed the vibe now because I'm having everybody.
That's an America thing.
That's a beer. It's not a sweet tea. Yeah, way to go, me.
No, it's a sweet tea. No.
So
let's move on.
Where do you want to start?
I know. Hey, welcome, guest of honor.
So this is Colin.
I'm not sure what's worse is having the fucking YouTube thing named after me or the entire Pro Clubs team.
What? So we had nothing to do with that. That was whatever you, Frankie, Carr, and all those guys.
Yeah, that was those guys for sure. The naming convention of tonight's show is 100% me. I'll take credit for that one.
I knew it. I love it. Thank you.
To be honest with you, I found out of the name the second I signed in like 5 minutes ago, and I just kind of chuckled.
I like wordplay.
Cheers to Dave.
Well, cheers to everyone. Yes, cheers to Colin. We want to give you the floor. I know you have a couple things you probably want to rant about, so just take it away. What do you want to start with?
He's like, well, Dave and Dash are dumbasses. I hate these two. They suck. Their content's terrible.
Well, if you want to start it like that, okay. Fuck all you, Vacast and Bianca Arizona.
Oh, come on. You can't just open that up like that.
Well, I feel like you set the precedent with that one.
Oh, come on. Hey, look, I was watching it. I'm gonna give Berto his flowers. He came in quite prepared with a lot of stuff because I was listening to that before we went live here. So look,
the Bottega one?
They're doing like a collab right now as we speak. So it's those two.
Check that out.
So I was listening to it because it was kind of similar to what we did yesterday in a sense. I'm not saying that's exactly the same thing, folks, before people take me out of context, but I think they're kind of recapping, whether or not Juve is a contender or not. And like I said, I got to call it straight shooter balls and strikes. I think Berto was well prepared in his discussion with Ali. So I tip my cap to you, good sir, because a lot of good points, a lot of good stuff there. But moving on to Turin Giant stuff.
Michigan's next governor.
Oh,
Anyways,
good.
Kyle, what do you want to talk about?
So the first was how you introed. I feel like when you have a guest, even if you don't believe it, you have to be the one offering a counterpoint. It's not necessarily like whereas other people, it's more of set like I feel like it's the interviewer's job to provide an alternative opinion. That's all.
So can I go for it? So like I thought with one of the things where I told him, I said the idea is like I think I was like, so looking at it right, I said statistically we look great, but essentially our offense is underperforming. And yeah, and one of the things that I mentioned in the video, trying to kind of like explain it to folks, where it's like, yes, the numbers look good defensively. It's unesthetically pleasing to an extent. However, Juve's probably, if you were to say that Juve's an 8-cylinder engine, I think 2 are firing right now. Everything else is just misfiring. I think that was the main point that I also wanted to illustrate as well.
Sorry, Dave, go ahead.
Yeah. And I know this isn't exactly to your point. Like, yes, I do agree. Like, typically you want to have the counterpoint, just play the devil's advocate. In yesterday's video and the logo video. So yesterday I was sort of like the guy that didn't have a horse in the race.
Here's the thing about the logo video is that you actually, all of my arguments, you more or less said throughout the video. So like that was that thing that I was just like I thought was kind of funny was that like most of my points go along with most of the shit that you had spoke up of during, basically more or less anticipating where I was going to come from.
Perhaps. Or maybe we just kind of come to the same point with just a different way of getting there, right?
It's the
80s. in any case, like Dash was kind of the neutral in that one. And I was the neutral yesterday, where it's like, I don't really care. I don't have a horse in this race. I'll just kind of like listen to the arguments and see where it goes. So not so much a counterpoint, but just like a guy without a horse in the race. We at least threw in.
And I think one of the things is, and like one of the things that I really want to get away from is like I wanted to kind of paint a picture where it's not, we're not fine and dandy, but we're also not, train wreck catastrophe at the same time, right? That's kind of one of the issues with what Juve's fan base is currently right now, is there's a lot of straw man arguments, right? Where it's like 100% blindly trust Allegri, and then there's also 100% blaming the players. Like I don't believe in that kind of philosophy in a sense, and that's when we're looking at it right now, where it's like 100% Allegri's having us playing dinosaur tactics, and then there's also like, well, we're playing dinosaur tactics because players can't do their effing job, right? Because I think we're in this medium where I think Allegri, and looking at the numbers, right? I think Allegri needs to figure out how he can tweak it, because one of the issues that I think, and I didn't cover this on the video, I wanted to save it for tonight. We had those spurts, right? Those spurts of modern football, as people would call it, air quotes. But the issue is I think, and this can also play into the camp of, Allegri stubborn and an old man, but there was spurts where we had it, but the team fell flat on their face. And the issue is like people are kind of like, well, why doesn't he try it again? And you got to look at it from different perspectives, right? Because I'm pretty sure Allegri's like, I don't know if I can trust you guys to go out and do things again, even though I think, and this is where I put my personal opinion, I think if he's going to use Sassuolo to weigh that as whether or not Juve are going to sit back and hunker down, I think that's a terrible precedent, because that game, it was pouring, and a lot of the howlers, and I'm not making excuses for Tech, right? But a lot of those
you can't use one-off games to describe multiple, like a third of the season though either.
No, I understand, right? The idea is like I looked at, and I was looking at the numbers, right? And I saw that we had 26 missed big chances, right? So that's practically, air quotes, vicinity of a tap in. That's what a big chance is, right? It's in air quotes like a tap in. So if you divide that by 12, because we've played 12 matches, Juve are missing roughly about 2.1 to 2.2 big chances a game. And that's huge, right? That's actually a pretty big thing. Because good teams or clinical teams miss less than that. Juve are absolutely by far ahead of everyone when it comes to that. And the other thing, the reason why I was kind of saying we got to, and I don't want to use this as a Moneyball approach, right? Because Moneyball and looking at the stats are two different things. And this is the one thing I kind of wanted to address briefly. I don't agree with Juve doing a Moneyball build because it is, like, for example, the Oakland A's. You get your one triumphant glory and then that's it. However, Juve are doing a more budgeted rebuild for sustainability. That's a different argument,
Did
right?
Oakland ever win?
No, they never did.
Yeah,
failed
so they
miserably.
never ended
There's
up
only a
getting it.
handful of clubs that have used that, and the football, like the NFL teams that are using it right now, aren't really perennial teams either.
Yeah,
It gets you in the picture, but yeah, it doesn't make
it
you
does.
a
It's like
dynasty
Leicester
team
City,
by any
right?
means.
And being an old school dude, I'm okay with not spending millions and millions and millions and buying young and developing or looking for the deals. That is never an issue with me.
Oh, I thought you were going to keep going.
Yeah, I thought you had more.
I realized I interrupted, so I was just
No,
like,
no, you're fine. So the thing with Juve kind of just doing it's Moneyball-esque, but I think you're not going to see more of it until the summer when Giuntoli actually has his feet underneath him. I think when you're looking at it from a holistic approach, I think these 3 years that Allegri's been at the helm, I don't want to say it's jaded, but I also want to say it's scrambled. It's a scrambled thing in general, right? Because the first year was, okay, Ronaldo's out the door. We only have Dybala, who's not even consistently healthy. We have Alvaro Morata, and our midfield was trash because it was Locatelli's first season at the club. All those accumulating factors and Allegri walking in, it was a shitty season, right? I mean, yeah, you could say bringing in Dusan to help make that fourth place push was kind of like the silver lining, but it was not the greatest, right? And then you go into the final summer of Arriva Bene and Cherubini, and then you have the really dragged out negotiations for Paul and for Di Maria, and those were essentially that, and then a last minute heave for Paredes, and that's what your midfield is, and then Pogba ends up going down. Di Maria is like in World Cup mode, and then you have essentially the axing of your entire board midway through the season, and then it's essentially Allegri who is the director of sport on his own. So that season with the 10 points and etc., there's a lot of things. It's really just out there, right? And for me, that's why in my head mentally, and it's fair for people to say I don't agree with it, but this summer, even though, and this is De Laurentiis being a dick and delaying Giuntoli's arrival to Juve just to be petty about it, because there's some strategy, because De Laurentiis was like, hey, if I delayed Giuntoli from going there, that might slow down their transfer process. So for me, mentally, because I look at Giuntoli's contract and I look at the contracts that the players, and Beppe is here. Hi, Beppe.
Hey, how's it going?
When I look at this reasonably, for me, the benchmark is last season, because it's essentially a squad of Allegri wanted players, right? Players that he vouched for, players that he wanted to bring in. And then also this season as well, where it's the full season with the 3-5-2. When you have all those factors played in together, that's why one of the reasons with the video that Misak wanted to use the previous season as a benchmark, because if we look at, because the squad's nearly a carbon copy. The only thing is we lost Di Maria and we replaced him with Timmy Weah, right? I think that's the common ground. I think that's probably that, and we lost Paredes. So when we're looking at it from that perspective, comparing it defensively, our defenders have gotten a lot better as far as playing as a unit, being organized, being decisive in matches. They have. While Gani,
can I interrupt for a second?
Go for it. Yeah.
We've had Regani for years. He's not a different player. He's the same player finally getting given a chance.
I do.
As for what you just said about, sorry, but I'm just going to steamroll you on that one.
Go for it.
As for what you just said about, our players have gotten better. I at this level, I don't think Allegri is teaching defensive skills per se. I think he's teaching tactics maybe, but he's not teaching a player how to defend. He's not teaching Bremer how to defend, right? He's like you said, chemistry and whatnot. So if that is the case, then we can say that it's taken approximately 16 to 18 months. And if Allegri's not a defensive coach, and it took him 16 to 18 months to teach defensive tactics to very competent defenders, what's the time frame on building a midfield, building an offense if he's not an offensive coordinator or offensive coach?
So
That's my issue.
no, it's a fair point. So I think one of the things that Allegri did is he essentially taught these. He's not teaching players how to defend, right? Players, they're professional athletes. Like as a coach, it's not really your job to teach them how to actually play the game at that level. The only time a coach really teaches you techniques and defensive abilities are, especially your head coach, right, is when you're playing under 8 at a park with your dad being the coach. That's really honestly it at that point. Because, like, for example, Allegri has technical assistants, defensive coaching assistants, and all those guys that will look into the fundamentals and do tweaks and adjustments, right? Those are the guys that do it. Allegri himself isn't doing that. I think what Allegri's saying, hey, look, Rugani, if you're pushing up here, Bremer, I want you to cover the zone in this area here, and this is where you have to be disciplined in what you do and how you do it. I don't think he's saying, hey, grab his shirt or adjust this and do this. I think
no, of course not. And when I say Allegri or I name somebody in the staff, I'm speaking of a regime per se, not necessarily a person.
Okay. That's fair. So when we're looking at it from that perspective, I think as far as organizing it and doing that, I think he's essentially brought it because there's continuity, right? I think that's one of the biggest things that we've seen so far is we have the continuity in that, and we're seeing the strides because right now, if we look at it from that perspective, where right now, out of all the center backs in Europe, Juve's center backs have scored the most goals in all of the leagues statistically. So as far as being a dual threat center back, they're absolutely crushing it. And I think this is towards you, Colin. So Beppe is asking, is it really the job of the coach to teach them how to play technically when you reach the first team?
That's exactly what I'm saying. I'm agreeing with that perspective. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think everyone's
Juve, if we're talking about Pescara. I mean, at Pescara, maybe, okay. But if we're discussing Juve in the theme that we all grew up Juve as, we're either inheriting or building the best defenders. We're not teaching at the first team. That's what I mean. Next gen is where you get your doctorate, and then you're professional when you get to the first team. Yeah. I would think, anyways.
Yeah, that's kind of the idea, right? Yeah. So I think there was like a couple of aspects to certain games. And like one of the things is like, yes, Rugani is the same player, but I want to give him props because I think Rugani's been a lot more mature, a lot more composed than he used to be previously. I think it was just the pressure of Bonucci and Chiellini ahead of him that would get to him. But also, like, for example, with age, and I think that's where he took his step forward. I think Bremer took a step forward because Bremer isn't as rash as he used to be when it came to being a defender. I think Bremer is more comfortable now that he knows that he has Gatti, he has Danilo, he has Rugani that's willing to be able to cover the space or cover the area where he can be a little bit more surgical in the way that he does it. Because Bremer at Torino versus Bremer at Juve, I think Bremer at Torino was a little bit more rash in his challenges because it was just kind of like he had to be the brick. If he wasn't the brick, the defense would falter. Where it's like at Juve, yes, he can be the main centerpiece, but he also has good guys around him that can support him and build them. Now, where I'm giving praise to that aspect of what the team is composed of and built, I still think that I need to see the midfield take some strides forward. And it's very, very hard for me to hold Juve to the fire for the midfield because of what happened in the summer with Giuntoli, with Pogba doping allegedly, because it hasn't been, confirmed. Lawyer speak. I don't want a lawyer to come after me. And with Fagioli, unfortunately, what happened to him, right? It's very hard, though.
Nothing happened to him. He happened.
Which is true. Which is true. So, and that's actually a good point that Vlad is saying. I don't understand. The reason why is because Bremer can't do Rabonas and some saucy moves. That's why Brazil won't play him.
Yeah, he's not typically like quintessentially Brazilian in that sense, and it is unfortunate. But yeah, I think it is a stylistic thing.
It's very so. Like, for example, I think there's a lot of aspects, and this is where I think Allegri needs to be a little bit more precise, a little bit better, right? Where I think Allegri needs to kind of figure out, okay, how do I put Rabiot, Miretti, Locatelli and McKennie in a better position to succeed, right? Is there something I can do? Because I think it's almost like a double-edged sword. Allegri has his defense and he doesn't want to jeopardize that, right? He's like, I've got this locked down. I don't want to change anything. However, and Sal is right. He can't play out the back. That's why he's not starting. Because even with Juve, we build with a 4-2, and Locatelli's the main playmaker there. I think the issue is right now is Allegri. If you're looking at it from how Juve have created X amount of chances, but the problem is Juve had decisive strikers back in Allegri's first tenure, right? You had Higuain, who was a very decisive striker. Paulo Dybala at his heyday. I'm not saying that he's terrible now, but like a young, juicy Paulo Dybala. And then you had Mario Mandzukic as well. You had guys that you give them a chance, they can convert it. Where it's like, for example, we look at our forwards. Our forwards are struggling to convert a lot of these chances too. So now you have to look at it from a different tactical approach where, for example, with Duson's, I believe his expected goals at 4 and he's there. And I think only Chiesa's kind of overperforming it. Where you see it where it's like previously you had 3 or 4 chances, and Tevez, as Saul is mentioning. So back then, the older Juve, some of these guys need maybe 1 or 2 good opportunities to convert, where it's like right now you have to feed Dusan 4 or 5 times.
Go back a few more years than Tevez, though. Who was there before then? We discussed this before. Who was there before Tevez?
Alessandro Matri.
And Vucinic.
And Vucinic and Quagliarella. But all of those guys converted. Those guys were clinical.
So
I think the main argument that I'm trying to sell here is that we're not clinical up top. Like chances are there, but it's just they're not being converted. And am I saying that this is perfect for competing for Europe and sustainability? No, I'm not saying that. That's not the argument that I want to sell here. Sell you guys on. I think there's, for example, big aspects in the midfield where you need to have a ball playing midfield, a decisive midfielder that can open up the game, because right now we're way too reliant on our wingbacks again. The only difference from this year and last year is not that we're riding on Kostic the entire time. Now you have a little bit of distribution between Cambiaso, Weah, McKennie, and Kostic. You have that, but again, when you are playing an elite team with elite midfielders, elite wingbacks, that's not going to be sustainable. It's not for the long term, right? And that's one of the arguments that I've made where, yes, if everything goes right, you'll get into the dance. However, there's other things that you need to do to get beyond it. And right now, the issue is the last 7 matches, we haven't had a single forward score. That to me is huge. How many times, and it might be to the point that Serie A sucks. You can throw that argument, but we can't control the fact that Serie A is not, we've been winning our games.
I actually think that's one of the bright spots is that we can find and we can dig in. We can find goals from elsewhere on the field.
Yeah, that is a positive as well.
It is. It's a huge positive, right? And that's my biggest concern. And I think that's why, yes, we can look at the numbers, but I also think it's very, very difficult to really give a full-blown assessment. You can give an assessment on Allegri by saying he's not putting certain things into the position where they might need to be, which is a fair point. But my issue is, I think the one thing is like, if our offense finds their footing, and maybe Chiesa can use this game against Macedonia as kind of a stepping stone, because he started on the left wing, but if you look at his 2 goals, where was he? Dead center in the box for both of them, towards the edge of the 18. So if these guys can somehow, and I'm hoping that Dusan performs tomorrow. I really am. I'm hoping he finds some footing, he starts. Because normally I don't like using...
He's always performed for Serbia.
He's been benched. Mitrovic benched him.
Well, I mean, even when he was playing, he was getting goals. It's because I think whenever he's come back here, it doesn't matter.
His last couple of games for Serbia have been pretty atrocious. He's been shut down by Mitrovic. But look, and like for example, I hope Keane gets minutes against Ukraine as well. I don't think he was on the bench for Macedonia, but I'm hoping that we start, because like for example, even though I don't think that international breaks for qualifiers are great benchmarking for players, because the teams you're playing up against, you rarely see them. And it's also just 2 games every so months, and there's not really much of a scheme. However, what I think the main issue with our forwards is there is just a confidence issue. because the fact that we're in second place, 2 points behind Inter, and, you know, everyone's touting this Inter team to be a juggernaut Inter team for Serie A. We're 2 points behind them, but
I
we've
think we'll
got
find out, though, honestly.
we will,
We'll
right?
find out.
We will. And I think it's kind of, you know, it's kind of awesome that we're there with the most big chances missed by missing 2 chances a game. I think that's astronomically incredible as far as performance, but I also understand where you can say that it's not sustainable for the long term, which is not. Because
But
if you're playing, go ahead.
if we're scoring a goal and winning, and we're missing 2 chances a game, that's 3 fucking chances.
It is.
That's 1 chance every 30 minutes.
It is.
That is the issue. It's not that they're missing 2 chances. If you give them more opportunity to score,
But I think so.
to develop consistency on 3 or whatever minimal chances per 90, I think is asking a lot.
So here's where we would have to break it down a little bit deeper, right? So like for example, the big chances are something equivalent to a tap in, right? Something very, very like boneheaded, like how did you miss that? So that's when it's broken down when you look at opportunities and shots created. I think there's a couple of things, right, where I think the forwards need to take better shots. They need to be willing to take shots. Keane to me pissed me off against Cagliari because there was a couple of things he would have had 2 really good chances if his first touch didn't fail him. He would have also had a potential of a goal if he didn't wait for his team to pull up and if he just took it wide and took the shot. There's a lot of things that get mixed into it. I think the main thing is like I also want to give people something to hold on to because it's like, guys, wait a minute. This isn't the same team that we saw last year where, you know, we're biting our nails for results or for things.
And I also don't want to turn it into our Arsenal fan TV or whatever those guys are. You know what I mean? Like when I leave tonight, I'm not going to go beat up my ex. Like that's that's not.
I'm gonna go do that right now. No,
I do see bright spots in the team. I just feel, and I've spoken to Misak privately about this. Like one thing I like about the main thing I like about him, especially having him on, is the fact that I feel like out of everybody, all the fans of your channel, I feel like he's the only one with matched passion. Just him and I just come from he's south, I'm north, and that's what that's one thing I love about Misak. Do I agree with anything he says? Once every 95 times, I'll agree with something he says. But I love his passion. At the end of the day, he bleeds like I bleed, white and black. That's it. That's all. And I love that.
But, and it's right. We all want to win at the end of the day. We all want Juve to perform and win.
This is the thing about what Vlad, what you just posted, what Vlad says. Like even Frank yesterday, and I realized I'm as a boomer, when I'm sending a message, like I don't feel like I need to be like nice about it. This is the point I'm making. Boom, 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 boom. This is it. That's all. And I felt like afterwards, I'm like, fuck, Frank probably thought I was shitting on him. But at the end of the day, like you can say, like, yeah, Gotti made 96% of his passes and this and that. But we let 2 goals in North Macedonia. And that's the end of it. I don't care if he got 100% of his passes. 2 goals against North Macedonia. We're the defending champions.
We're lucky we beat them for once.
You know, never mind. Forget Jorginho, whatever. But so this is the thing with statistics. I mean, like you could do whatever you want with statistics, and God knows. I mean, does anybody know the math behind the QBR foot mob nonsense? How they get to 7.4? How many times we've gone through the midfield and been like, we have no idea how the hell they came to that? You know, so
yeah.
Like this rating system, I do believe that like, and maybe it's to defend the purist in me for the game, but the eye test at the end of the day for European sports, rugby, soccer, it's still football, it's still an art. It doesn't describe how the game went. You can that kind of stuff only translates well to baseball and NFL because every play is one game.
What we were saying in this case, though, is that both the eye test and the numbers kind of agreed with each other. It's one of those instances where you can correlate and doesn't matter. Like which kind of person you are if you're the old school or the
Someone
new
put up
guy.
a Specsavers ad because I don't know if I need a prescription or you two need a prescription.
So let me ask you this. Let me ask you this to see if we can find common ground. Would you agree with me when I say that our offensive players are missing some boneheaded chances consistently at this point?
Yes, but I feel like you and I will disagree on where that's coming from.
Which is fine, right? Because that's the moral. So that's the root cause of this issue right now, right? Where you can say that there's not enough chances, and I can say that they're not decisive, right? So
The other root issue, as I stated earlier, is that it's taken us, and we all agree that we didn't buy any different, with the exception of Leia, but for the back three, we didn't bring nobody in. Yes?
No, we didn't bring anybody in.
So 18 months to get to here, 16 months, whatever. I don't know what the day is.
I think
it's taken that long to develop this type of chemistry.
I think, to be honest with you, this is me conspiracy theorying, but I think Bonucci had a lot to do with it as well. I think Bonucci was pretty toxic to the back end of the locker room. I think now
I won't disagree with you, but I'm getting another beer and you can continue.
That's fine. But like, I think that's one of the things too. And Gaetano's asking, did we see the Yildiz? Absolutely, we saw the Yildiz goal. I think that was one of the things where 18 months till now, it's a fair point, right? But I think it took a little bit longer because what's the average age of our center backs? I think the oldest one is Rugani, right? Bremer's 26, Gatti's 26 roughly. Danilo, right now you can count Danilo, but Danilo's injured, but Rugani's 29. Rugani's your oldest center back in your rotation right now, outside of Sandro and Danilo. So it's like, it's a little bit tough, right? Because I've always had this philosophy when it comes to building a squad is you need good veteran guys, not toxic veteran guys, unlike Bonucci, right? Or because the idea is and I'm almost convinced
The
of
defender
it.
is a humble defender.
Yes. It's like I'm almost convinced at this point where like Allegri was saying one thing and Bonucci was saying other things, right? Because Bonucci's your captain. You're going to listen to Bonucci, right? Where it's like now I think with Danilo and Allegri being hand in hand in a sense, it was a lot easier. And you look at the defenders now, they're not clueless. They understand where they need to be. They understand what they need to do. And look, and I'm not throwing this all on Bonucci, right? I don't want to be that guy and put my entire argument on some hearsay or some headcanon. But I think removing Di Maria, removing Bonucci, and you kind of look at it and it's a little bit different. And Quadrado as well, too.
Look at Ben. So one of my best friends is a huge Benfica fan. So I do kind of pay a little bit of attention to them. And they're having a blip on the radar season in terms of shittiness. Mm-hmm. So I mean, like that could be a direct correlation.
And have we even seen Quadrado feature for Inter yet? I don't think.
He's being very injured. Yeah, they started making fun of him a couple weeks ago about.
Yeah. As for like the Bonucci factor, that to me talks about the lack of presence of maybe other figures in the locker room, particularly the manager. There's only one other team I hate as much as Inter, and it's Man United, and that's from my pops. But I can respect that Alex Ferguson will walk into a room and everyone knew their place, and if they didn't, they were done. So if you have an issue with Bonucci, and I realize that maybe contracts and history and whatnot kind of prolonged that whole episode, but that to create the argument or to use the argument that Bonucci hindered other defenders in their growth, to me, and you could be right, but to me that speaks to Allegri's, I guess, lack of presence. I think my major issue with Allegri has never been tactics. It's the fact that our players under him have never been mentally prepared.
You want balls. That's what you want.
I want fucking balls.
Balls. I got
you. He wants Conte back.
Which is.
I'm a continuity guy. I'm very family oriented in my life, and I like the same idea with Juve. That's why I like Agnelli. That's why I like this whole system, even though it's Exor now. Conte is going to come. He's going to elevate himself, and as soon as he gets in a disagreement with anybody, he's going to. So my heart of hearts wants Zidane for history. My brain says that's not going to happen, but my heart of hearts wants Zidane, and I know Zidane will stay. If he comes, he will stay for a few years. The other issue I have with Allegri is historically, if I'm going to take a page out of Misak's books, historically, you've never seen Allegri elevate any players, really. He's inherited teams and done well with those, but he's never elevated players. He's never been a teacher. And that's
Pogba came up from him. Does he count?
Yeah, Pogba had 2 seasons with Allegri, and he popped off the last season. Well, I mean, Dybala, technically, you could classify Dybala as a player
is
that
that why we
popped
kept
off.
him? Because he was so fucking awesome.
We kept him because he couldn't stay healthy, and also outside of the locker room, the dude his work ethic was absolutely atrocious.
And maybe that's the tradesman in me, but like above, like so to touch down with the thank you, Jeff. Work ethic is key, man. Work ethic is absolute key. So despite like I have issues with, I've always been a Rogani fan. I have a bias. I like his wife. But,
who doesn't at this point?
Exactly. But I mean, like, I feel like the 3 that we have, actually, you know what, across the board, with the exception of Sandro, there's something about me that wants to hate Sandro. But I think we have a lot of grit in the back, a ton of grit in the back. And I think that kind of influence needs to kind of spread to the team. And if it hasn't yet in the past 3 years, then you've got a personnel issue. How your scouting has been wrong, which is not fair to judge at this point, because like you said, we've had a regime change as of last summer. But
I do, right? Like, for
I
me,
don't think Allegri's a project guy. That's my issue. It's not that Allegri's shit. His tactics are shit. It's antiquated, yada, yada, yada. It's, I don't believe this is the template that you could best provide him for success.
But so here's where I'm gonna chime in and kind of offer an alternating opinion here. So
Dave, get a new trick. Yeah, man.
Yeah, I was waiting for a good moment.
So here's where I'm gonna say this. So, like, for example, when we look at Allegri and top flight football, 2 teams right now, I mean, at the very top, he had Milan and he had us. Neither of those instances did he catch us in the middle of a buildup or a retooling, in a sense, until now. When he went to Milan, Milan was essentially, we've gotten up, we're over the hump, we need to figure something out here. Like, we've gotten all these, like, it was Berlusconi and Galliani saying, make this shit work, because we have Ronaldinho, we have Ibra, we have Gattuso, we have all these guys, like, figure something out here. And then with us, it was taking over Conte, and it was like, hey, you've got all this, make this shit work. He did, right? He did. And you can argue that he might have elevated that team into those back-to-back Champions League finals.
But that's a general, man. I may not want Conte, but that's a general. That's what we need. The mental fortitude of this team is extremely lacking.
I understand.
That is the root of all evils on this squad.
I understand that, but like, the argument that I want to present to you is maybe outside of Beppe Morata, and even you can argue whether or not he was 1-for-1 with Allegri when it comes to scouting and bringing in players, because Allegri left in 18-19 because Paratici and them wouldn't get him what he wanted. Because he said back then, hey, this Ronaldo move wasn't the best move. We need to retool. If not, I'm out. And they said, okay, well, here's the door. I think, to be honest with you, because this is a totally different scale, I think whether or not, if you want to put the verdict on him being a rebuilding manager or not, I still think that if him and what it looks like, I think Giuntoli and him are working one-on-one. Do I think Allegri is the manager at the end product? No, I don't think so. I think within 3 or 4 years, essentially, you might see a Zidane, you might see, hell, a Spalletti, because he likes him, or Giuntoli likes him. The thing, what I see is like, I need to see how Giuntoli and Allegri interact in this stint. I'm talking about Allegri 2.0, because Allegri 2.0, with all due respect, Arriva Bene is not a club director. He is not a football sporting director.
I don't know how he managed
got
to
that.
from
Yeah.
I mean, that's
He was plugging holes.
many baffling
It
decisions
was
that-
plugging holes, because you want to know what the issue was, because they wanted to, Cherubini was a cheaper option, because Cherubini was like the scout and got everything together, right? And then the problem was with Cherubini was he wasn't the numbers guy. He wasn't a finance guy. So that's where Arriva Bene came in for that. And I think those two were just as bad as Paratici, in my opinion. Just as bad. So now that you have, for example, you have an actual director of sport, And then you also have what Giuntoli is doing. He is pulling his pieces from Napoli. He's trying to pull some of his guys, behind the scenes guys from Napoli over there who will join us in the summer because their contracts expire with Napoli. He's also pulling, I believe it was Salernitana or another guy as well, another director of sport to be part of his staff. Now, this summer when Giuntoli has his entire staff, and whether or not they react to Allegri and if they are able to scout younger players or players that fit the scheme and fit the system better, I just think right now at this current day and age, I think it's difficult to really kind of throw stuff under the bus. Should Allegri have more balls? Yes, I've said it on video before where I've said, hey, he's prepped these guys. He has not prepped these guys well. There's games where Allegri needed to do adjustments and needed to be better. But there's also things like, for example, what Saul is saying, the situation that he got thrusted on. Essentially, he was the interim director of sport.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with that. I mean, the way he handled everything last year, he definitely deserves an applause. I'm not saying he's even faltered this year. What I am saying is that this is not the stage of which or the phase of which we're at is not best suited for what he is good at. That's all.
Yeah. And I agree with you. I think it just needs we need some Champions League money, and we also need Giuntoli to be able to actually bring in the staff that we need, because come on, guys, like, did we really think that with Pogba and Fagioli all of our issues would have been solved? I highly doubt
but
that.
why is it that the De Zerbi can go to Brighton and change the entire philosophy?
No, it was the same. Potter and De Zerbi played the same style of footy. It's a 4-2-3-1. I'm dead serious. Like, I'm not even pulling this out of my ass. Like, Graham Potter and De Zerbi was brought in because Potter and De Zerbi had the same philosophical adjustments to the game. I think maybe De Zerbi did a couple of tweaks or something like that, but I think you can ask Vlad, because Vlad's in the chat, or David Elitok as well. One of the reasons why they pulled him in was because the way that Graham Potter and De Zerbi schemed were quite identical. The reason why Chelsea pulled Graham Potter over was because he was the English De Zerbi, but it just didn't work out for him.
But with De Zerbi, there's been electricity. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong thing here.
My concern with him, and I think Beppe covered it, and I don't want to put words in his mouth. So Beppe, if you're still listening,
I'm not saying he's fantastic, Sal.
So it's not like I don't think it's tough, right? Because like Brighton has, and I'm going to say this, there is no team in Europe that has a better scouting network than Brighton. Brighton has the best scouting team in the entire continent. The amount of players that they've been able to sell for ridiculous sums as of recent is insane. Brighton has that, and I think if I'm De Zerbi, I tell them, hey, I need a guy that does this. I need a guy that does this. They're going to be able. There's teams that have great back offices and that are able to get that. Do I think Brighton's going to ever compete for a title? Maybe they might have a Leicester City season here and there, but they're good at, and essentially for De Zerbi too, it's less pressure. Because, like, for example, you imagine De Zerbi going to one of the top 6 in England where they demand results, where with Brighton, they're like, if you make the Europa League, fuck it. I'm not mad about that, right? Where it's like, there isn't an expectation for De Zerbi to make top 4. It would be insane. It would be asinine for them to do that. So for him, because one of the things too, where it's like, and this is one of the, and I think I'm going to give credits to Sunday League coach because he actually brought this. Do you know that Allegri actually won more titles than De Zerbi did at Sassuolo? It's a crazy fact, but it's actually true. Allegri won the Supercoppa, or the Coppa Italia Serie C with Sassuolo before they because he essentially brought them up from Serie D. And then he also won the Scudetto for Serie C with Sassuolo, where De Zerbi didn't do any of that. So it was one of those crazy stats as well. So like, you look at the jobs he took, like he did decently well with Sassuolo, but Sassuolo was starting to kind of increase the expectations with him. So then he's like, hey, let me go to Shakhtar, because Shakhtar, essentially, they kind of cruise. It's them and Dinamo Kiev for the title for the most part. But unfortunately, situations that happened over there, he moved over to Brighton. So I think it's a little bit right, because like even so Dave confirms this for me. So he profits from the coaching styles that Potter established, but instead we changed them in a sense of wanting to play faster and press harder. So he had the backbone established by Potter. He tweaked it, made his adjustments there. But I think we need it's a little bit tough, right? It's one of those things where we're almost comparing a little bit of oil and vinegar in a sense. I think I've went on my speak piece. I need some water.
45 minutes.
Take a break. The title of the show is the Colin Show, so I'll take over.
All right, I'll drop the link. Drop the link. We've been hogging it for 45 minutes. Get the link if anyone wants to come in.
Did you hold on? We haven't even touched the logo.
You haven't even touched the logo. You haven't stopped talking in like 40 minutes.
That's what I do. Why I'm here.
Isak is not here. I must take his place.
I am. I know. Habibi, I cover for him. No.
No. One thing I noticed when Dave was putting up comments. Let me go back to it. Where is Vlad? Okay, Vlad mentioned something about the fan base and all being about the coaching, and we should be focused on what exactly was it? Balance quality, youth, and experience. The problem is that the coaching and the management is what creates that balance. That's my issue, is that we are forced into position to try Moretti. We are forced into position from Fagioli. If we're going to be investing, like I've never been one to hope for an injury or be congratulating an injury. But if Loca's hurt, now we get to see what we have with Nicolucci. He's either good or he's not. And if he's not good, then God bless, let's put him into the Samarizic package. But if he is, we can work with that. Allegri is, I don't want to, it feels to me, and I 100% could be wrong, I could be just talking shit, but it feels to me that he's more worried about keeping his fucking job than he is about growth. And you can correct me and say, Colin, that's out of line.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so to an extent, right? Like, I mean, think about it, right? If you're in that situation and you're in that position, wouldn't you? Because in theory, if it's a train wreck at Juve, the best job he's getting is somewhere in like Empoli or Cagliari or something like that, right? I mean, put it in that perspective. That's a part of it. It's human, guys. Like at the end of the day, I don't care how often you are. It's
also a hindrance.
It can be, right? At the end of the day, we all shit the same and we all cry the same way.
Because I was on mute, story. Yeah, no, like every coach is going to be the same. They're all going to want to keep their job and make decisions that are going to be beneficial towards that, right? You won't get away from that unless you have, I don't know, a Conte that knows he's going to.
But this brings me back to what I said last episode is that he'll keep his job. We're going to get top 4. We're going to get to Europe. And if with this kind of fucking nonsense, we're going to get skunked. And then Isak are going to blow up the channel yelling at each other every week until we get booted from
content. It's good content, though.
It's great content. I love yelling with Isak. I love people from the Mediterranean. But nonetheless, it's not going to get us anywhere. This is what I'm saying. Like, all we're doing is we're pushing off the inevitable. We need to start the growth phase 6 months ago. This shit where we're like, oh, the defense has finally got some continuity. It's got some chemistry. Listen, man, like when you hire me to do your countertops, you're not hiring me to learn and then go install them. Like I better know what the fuck I'm doing before I even get to your house.
Oh, by the way, if you're in the Canada area and you need countertops, contact Colin.
In the Canada area, the second largest country in the world. You just have to be in the Canada area.
He'll take the
Ottawa area.
If you're in BC, he'll take the CP rail across the Rockies.
But you know what I mean? So like we have certain objectives that we're trying to attain with the club. And that's Sal, that's fine. I get that. But the legacy should not be just crawling along. We as a club, as the biggest club, the most successful club in Italy, the example we're setting is not good for the country. It's not good for the league, and it's definitely not going to be good for us next year.
All right, come at me with the logo now. Let's go somewhere else and try to bang this one out.
I wasn't expecting the last video.
As he wears the hat with the new logo on it. But yeah, go. Because
I've been forced in that position. I can't. You try to find me. So like, I have a thing, man. I think you call it oblong. I have an oblong skull. So like, I can't wear trucker hats, man. Like I'm on the last two dots, you know. So I only wear fitted caps.
Okay.
I only wear fitted caps.
Yeah.
And then we're stuck with fan ink, and I can only get, you know.
It's hard. Actually, Juve does a decent job that in terms of being a European company. They actually do have a lot of North American like trucker style or like new era, like the fitted style. They have that North American style because the European style ball cap is so trash, and I will never wear it. It's the old man.
Oh yeah. No, it doesn't fit you. It fits funny. I agree.
Yeah, so at least
That's
Juve has that, because that was one thing I noticed. Actually, when I was at Sevilla at their gift shop or fan shop, whatever, I was looking for a hat because I mean I like hats, and no, they only had the old man European style, and like, they just didn't have any options. And when I went to the Juve one, they had like they basically had it all. They had a wall of hats, so at least they're doing it right in that regard.
I'm going to drop the link because we've gone 50 minutes and we should
Yeah,
probably
look,
let people call in.
It's the Colin show.
It's
I
the
mean,
Colin show.
Yeah, well, I didn't name it. You guys named it. I want my fucking time.
We give you 50 minutes. It's practically a full damn show.
We only gave Misak 35.
Well, you just gave Dash 51.
Yeah, that's true.
That's petty. I'm here for it.
Sal's coming in though.
I want that Adam England dude.
Yeah.
Look who it is.
Ooh, what you got there? What you got? Bourbon?
Little bullet.
Little bullet. Oh shit! Let me get the whiskey then. Give me a second.
You know, you talk with gentlemen. You should act accordingly. You know?
That's fair. Yeah. Get that Dash guy out. What the fuck's the Dash doing here? He's not a gentleman. He's a douchebag.
We're going with Nika coffee grain whiskey.
Very nice.
So Dave, where'd you go? He ran away just as the logo thing came up. You Nancy.
He went to go get alcohol. Everybody's, it's a wind down after the break, right?
I have to drive to this party afterwards too. It's gonna be a fucking rough go.
No, well, you can tell. Hey, guys. Before I was here, I was actually on a YouTube live stream. Like, come on. And Sal, Vlad is calling you Seth Rogen.
You know what? I called into Bepe's show, and that was a big thing in the chat. Was people said I look like Seth Rogen, so I'm assuming Vlad was on that.
No, man, you look better than Seth Rogen.
You know what was funny? So like, I think Dave Ali Talk saw it, but like I was on Bepe's stream once. It was the Mazzari when Napoli announced him as the coach. And I was like sitting there and I like, because like whenever I listen to Beppe, I always think of it as like a viewer instead of me like as a content creator. So just me being all giddy, I'm like, oh yeah, he does this and that and blah blah blah. And I texted it and everyone's like, oh my gosh, it's that guy from the Turin Giants in the comments. I'm like, oh, hi everybody. I'm just here to watch.
You done,
All
Dash?
right. I'm done. Here, fine. I'm out. You know what? Whatever.
Hey, Dave.
Dave, are you muted?
Yeah, I mean, what are you? That's why you're the boomer. You can't even use the shit you buy.
He walks away, lowers his volume so he doesn't pick up background noise, and then it comes back.
I forget to untap it.
He's like sitting there. He's like.
So before we like split off, I wanted to the logo thing.
Yeah,
that was a cheap shot. Okay, that was a cheap shot because it was me and you going back and forth on Discord.
It actually goes back. It goes back longer.
You could tell who has never used Adobe before. Comment. Not forgot that one.
Adobe. Well, you can't even say it right. So that's the most boomer thing you said yet.
And you go and make this video with this dude.
Look at this dude.
Have you looked at some of the articles? Adam England, you write better than I could ever write. Just in case you ever watch this, which you won't.
You probably won't, but you never know. Mind you, he did release an article last night.
He literally said, "I just spam ideas out to companies, and we'll see which one clicks." Well, thank you for your input, Adam. It was terrible.
Okay. All right. You know what? I mean, he wasn't the best guest we ever had. He was a little shy. I was honestly just trying to do something different, having like a non like footballing person, just somebody different. Because that's what we try to do. We just try to get rando people, and sometimes it clicks, and sometimes, I mean, not so much.
Yeah, just find somebody in the middle of the spectrum, though. Not too far left, not too far right.
Well, where do you sit?
Well, there's so
I'm
much
fucking way on the right here.
there's so much tribalism in the sports world now. You can't even find someone to have middle ground. Like I get persecuted by just, oh yeah, I acknowledge that. It makes sense. And they're like, I'm like, oh, it's sports, guys, chill.
Dash, I guess you're the tribal chief. You okay? You need to wear nothing but the vest if you're the tribal chief.
Oh boy, I'm gonna have some
Yeah,
fun.
the
with
best.
this one.
That's how we know you're from the north.
There we go.
And JC calling Colin the toxic one. Yeah, he's coming in with all his.
Well, those guys are a match made in heaven when it comes to pro clubs.
Who's this?
Carr.
Oh, fuck that guy. I love you, Car.
Sal, you don't play FC at all, do you? FC24.
Yeah, I play.
You gotta get it on the pro clubs.
You got to join the pro clubs team.
Yeah, everyone's got to get it on the pro clubs team.
I'm a boomer. I have a feeling. I don't know about you guys. I'm 43, so a lot of this stuff escapes me.
Yeah, you're a wee bit older than I am.
We can all learn. It's all right.
It's fine. You just get to listen to Bones, Colin, Frankie, and all of them yell at each other. It's the most entertaining shit ever.
I'm actually like the logo thing I really wanted to debate, but that's that motherfucker. Fuck you, Car. I'm not toxic at all. I didn't realize who that was.
I said it. I said who it was.
Because I'm reading my points here while I'm like getting prepped. Car, I love you, buddy.
I love how you wrote this down though, and you came prepared.
Hey, Colin, I meant to ask you. I heard you said you hate. Was it Man U?
Yes, sir.
So what do you feel about the new CEO that they're gonna get?
Which would be
Juve's old CEO.
Murata?
Who? Sorry,
I didn't hear this.
Arriba Bene?
I'm trying to find the.
That's
I'm
news.
trying to find the name here.
outside of the recent purchase, I don't know about any main office stuff. But the dislike for them comes from like my I've said in the past, my dad's a Leeds guy, so it's kind of mandatory hating them and Chelsea.
Right now it looks like Maldini is.
That's what is Maldini.
He's Milan's former director, but it says Maldini's one of the 6. I think there's 6 candidates.
Yeah, one of them. Oh, Jean-Claude Blanc. So
Really?
Yeah, he's one of the ones. I think the new minority owner. What's his name? Sir Jim. That's his main preference.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So it looks like I think the favorite. No, I don't know if he is, but it looks like Paolo Maldini and Ricky Massar. Whatever. Man United's always going to be a joke until the Glazers just decide to not own them anymore. Because those guys were obviously I think those guys care more about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers than they do about Man United at this point.
Do they though?
They got Baker Mayfield. They brought him in there. They brought that guy in there.
I don't know. I know nothing about that. I'm not going to talk about that. I have no clue.
Yeah.
All I know is that I don't like the beer commercials because I don't drink their trash American beer. That's it. That's all I got to say about the NFL. We'll move on.
So can I smash on Dave with the fucking logo?
Yeah. I'm waiting for it. Jeez, let's go.
Every 2 seconds, God is this like squirrel.
Yeah, he's got it. You gotta get it in now.
So like, one thing I want to be clear about, my issue with the logo that we're all wearing right now. Dash, get back here, you fucking nigger. It's not that we changed logos. As you said, we've done it 11, 12 times. Every team's done it. It's the fact that it was so drastic. the word you use yourself. It's so drastic. When we look at your logo, the logo on his chest, it's 2 fucking J's, man. Like, we have an anime channel on Discord, and that's what me thinks about. It doesn't make me think about the history of the club from the 1800s. I think that, I mean, I can't remember who said it. It might have been both of you, and you're just like, well, look at this 2 J's. It looks so much better as a brand. Blah, blah, blah. You couldn't blow up the crest.
Oh, the recognizability, the when you did it with Illustrator.
Sal, you're my age, man. And you know what? Both these guys might remember this book, but like, there was a book, I think it was the late 90s. It was written called No Logo. It was basically about branding and commercialism and stuff. I think it's from 1999, if I have to remember.
Look it up.
So basically, it is about branding and commercialism. And one thing I will say,
Canadian author too.
I didn't know.
Naomi.
So I've been doing what I've been doing for about 20 years in terms of like stonework. And because I deal with a lot of marble, I deal with a lot of wealthier clients. And one thing I've noticed about my wealthier clients versus my fake wealthy clients is that those people with the big Chanel logo or whatever logo on their chest, that $700 sweater, those people are always the ones that give me the hardest time collecting my payment on the counters.
Oh yeah. No,
The
I totally get that. Yeah.
The millionaires, they don't have Chanel this all over their chest or the belt buckles and none of that nonsense. So
they got to make sure it's within return policy.
Exactly. They've got return policies and they've got tax exemption forms for everything they've got. So like this idea that we're creating a brand to sell. So like, Dave, you want to stretch your hoodie out for me, please?
This is just the Fino Alafino one.
That's a brand you sell, not the stupid fucking J thing. Okay, it's not so much. I get the whole logo change and whatnot, but the fact that what the argument kind of came down to is that we're attacking the youth. We're gonna look for the new age, 17 whatever, to pick up our hoodies and grow with it. But here's the biggest thing: we don't have Mbappe. Okay, we're trying to follow the PSG type of program. We don't have Mbappe.
Well, we did do the Ronaldo thing.
Thanks, Dusan.
We did do that. You can also look. So that purchase, I believe the logo changed a year before he arrived.
Yeah.
And you can actually correlate our trophies and debt right around that 2017 point, and it just got a little more inflated.
Yeah, the logo's cursed.
The logo's no. I mean, you can listen. Like so because I actually thought Dave was going to do that, not Dash, because I anticipated something like that. I actually went and looked, and we actually started to incur quite a bit. We had nominal debt all the way through up until about 16, 17. Obviously, you have to take it with a grain of salt because of COVID hitting in 2019.
Sure.
But our debt increases significantly from 17 on. And I really feel like you can have, without having the Mbappes of the world or the Neymar or Messi, I hate that South American, but without having him, then you can't do this brand scheme, because at the end of the day, if you're not winning without star players, look at LeBron. LeBron's a fucking bum. He wins. He's been in the league for 45 years. He's won like 3 titles.
45 years.
But it doesn't matter.
It has been a while.
But we don't have that. His teams will get the jersey sales, all that stuff. He doesn't have to win, but we don't have that.
So I do agree with you. Yeah, see, you are on point. We were, however, trying to do that, and that does fall in line. But and all I was ever trying to, I personally do like it, and I know you don't like it. We have different emotional attachments to different logos. Like for me, I don't care about the attachment. Like logos to me, and maybe because I do graphic design that I know, I just know, okay, you got to change things.
It's not about not changing things. Listen, so Dash, during one of our that late night fucking session we had, just me and you around midnight. So I told you that the 3 stars, they don't exist on the logo. Now I will correct myself. They exist on the jersey, but nowhere else.
So that's actually one of the design features is that
that's a feature. How much money have we spent in lawyers?
Yeah. Listen.
How much money? We just finished the appeals for Cacciapoli. This was in 2006, 2007, and my brain is fried
right now. You're talking about the 3 stars. Like if you can add on or take off, you can simplify or add flourish to it, right? Like if your logo can do that, then that's a good thing, right? Because it depends what you want to do. If it's on your jersey and you're trying to show your flourish, then yes, absolutely it works. But if you're trying to make a simple design, like a little header,
to write the name, if you have to take the 3 stars out to have your name, I'm going to point and rub my finger across Sal's chest right now. All right, that's where there's no stars. That's Juventus right there.
And then you notice they took it away.
You know why it's written there? Is because people are going to look at those J's and be like, "What the fuck is that?"
Yes, it was a transition.
You saw the badge and the
exactly.
Crest,
you are right. They did that for a couple years. They established that brand recognition, and now the new logo does not have Juventus written over it. They've simplified it further. It was a transitional piece, but they are able to do that. That was predetermined, so they can put Juventus there. They can put 3 stars.
The Americans and the Dragon Ball Z guys. Who cares?
They do. And there's millions of them. Most of our fan base are those people.
But this kind of clothing doesn't represent as much as our revenue. The jersey sales, in terms of commercial purchases, jersey sales represent the greatest aspect of our commercial sales in terms of revenue.
I don't mind so much that we don't have the stars. Like my favorite logo is the one before the rebrand with the J's. I don't believe that one had stars on it. It was I'm looking at my computer too, so I think it was 2004 to 2017. So that one for me was my favorite branding. I think the big thing I didn't like with this one is just this one's too minimalistic, and it's sort of all the brands before it had the horse.
I gotta go to that for a second.
Which is iconic. I think this one's it's way too minimalistic. I don't know.
But it does at least give the option that you could put the stars. You can put the Juventus. It's the minimalistic design is what is in. And the reality is they're trying to have a clothing line in parallel with this, and they have to play by those rules, right? And that's what you get. And I know that people hate that because that's super commercialized, but I mean, there's pros and cons to it. We do get more revenue. Yes. Are we selling out? Is it cringy? Sure. It's capitalistic trash. However you want to look at it. But then we can make stupid purchases and pay $85 million for Vlahovic because we sold a bunch of clothing. Like there's, it's cyclical. But and to go to Vlad's point here, his biggest complaint with the current logo is that there's no bull. I believe why they move it away from the bull is because that's what Torino does, and they're trying to distance themselves and make themselves a completely separate entity, not to be confused with Torino.
Where's the horse? Where's the zebra? Where's anything, man?
Apparently, well, that might come back. That might come back.
It's 2 black J's, man. There is zero evolution from what we had to now. Zero.
And I understand your emotional distaste for the logo.
It's the correlation between the change of the logo and all this fucking shit.
But, okay, it's the whole, is it correlation or is it causation, right? Like, I mean, it just so happened that
it just so happened. It
was a cyclical time in the club, and if it turned out to be positive, if COVID didn't happen, if Ronaldo turned out to be this historical player that played for us until he died, essentially. We would be praising this.
I'm not tearing down Ronaldo. Ronaldo did his share. You can only see
but
100 goals in X amount of time. I mean,
because the project failed in a sense, now we're saying,
it was never destined to go anywhere.
But what's destiny? You're talking about destiny. Fucking Destiny. What the fuck is Destiny?
Sounds like my ex-wife.
Sorry, that project was never going to go anywhere because it was a blip on the radar in terms of that once we spent X amount on Ronaldo, we have the jersey sales right away. I think that was 60 million almost immediately.
But Ronaldo, where you capitalize on him because of COVID.
Couldn't capitalize
Stadium.
on COVID, and we needed to move quicker on that. And because if we were a more sustainable squad in terms of finances, then it wouldn't have mattered. But we aren't, and it's not. This is indicative of or an indictment on the Italian economy in itself as well.
Oh, it is. It's a systemic problem.
This is the thing. This is why the mentality of buying cheap and growing and so on is what we need. But we also needed this a long time ago, and that's
Squirrel.
Yeah, I know. I think that's So yeah, the lack of evolution, exactly. Yeah, no matter what, I'm going to support the team.
Yeah.
But at the same point in time, I'm still going to be like, hey, I'm not happy about the direction. And if you want me to go back with how we dealt with things that I'm not happy with, how we let Buffon leave the first time, how Del Piero was dismissed, Marquisio, there's not too much we could have done about. So I mean, like, there's a lot of things on this corporate route that we've taken that I disagree with. And will I always support the team? Yeah. But I'm also going to say, hey, listen, at the end of the day, this is it's despite being in the north, I mean, it's a workers' team. It's a factory man's team. I'm always going to support this team, regardless of the logo and whatnot. So,
yeah, and like your feelings are validated. Like you are allowed to feel whatever you feel towards that, right?
My feelings are 2 of the points on this paper, my friend.
Holy shit! Is that 11 by 17? Colin, you're a fucking mad lad.
No,
I need this. I need this for my AutoCAD stuff, man.
Oh,
I'm just trying to put some perspective, right? Like, so I completely understand your emotional detachment to the new one, the attachment to the old one. For me, like, I like the new one in a sense because I was working so much before. I missed a lot. I just missed a lot, like, years ago when I was working, and then when I came back, it was kind of like that direction of the club was when I finally got to come back and like fully go back in to what I love, essentially, right? So I have a bit of an a positive emotional attachment because that's when I was able to dive back in to my club again after being away so much for work and missing so much. So like I mean, does it make sense? Is it right? No, it's emotion. It just is what it is.
That was probably one of the most dismissive, polite comments that someone's ever thrown at me.
No, but that's what I'm saying. It's just what I like. It's what you like.
Pardon me?
It's what I like. It's what you like. We have our own reasons, and like a lot of that reasoning is based on our emotions. And you're not supposed to reason with your emotions.
But absolutely. I can understand the emotional aspect, except for like my reasoning comes with about a century of results.
Sure, but that's what you feel to put weight on for your logo. For me, I don't put that. It's not like that serious for me to put that background to it. It's an evolution. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Yeah, you can call me dismissive, but I mean I'm cool. I don't care.
No, the dismissive part was I like what you like, and you would like what you
but
like.
It's true.
I'll show you yours.
I like the J. You like the old one, and we have our own reasons. But it's not dismissive. That's just reality.
My issue is, and you guys actually used both. I think Saul and you used both the buzzwords I was going to go after was modern and it was very simple, which to me actually means less artistic. It's less identifiable. And as I read off my cue cards here, one thing actually that it really reminded me of was having like it to me it's like what do you call it? Constructivist architecture. It's like communist architecture. It's very, very, very bland. Everyone can see it across the world, and it's very globalist. Dave, to give you an example, our government buildings here. You know what I mean? Like the square block concrete nonsense.
Yeah, that is part of it. Yeah, it has
And I
that
feel
feel.
like, and I guess this leaks into a greater argument for me to touch on the book I mentioned earlier with no logo, is that I feel like we're falling into, or we're pushing ourselves into the globalist aspect where we're just going to be in a melting pot of PSG plastic fans. And maybe I'm an old man, or the second oldest man in the group that's holding on to history, grabbing at straws, but I don't like the direction we're going to. I don't. I don't.
I kind of
And you know what?
disagree.
If it meant that we don't compete in Europe every year, but we still stay true to ourselves, we have an Italian core, we're playing an advanced game, then I would take it, man. I would take it.
I disagree with the melting pot with PSG because PSG, as far as
Why
history
doesn't
wise,
Vlad ever come to the Collins, man? Look at these. You guys got bangers of a point. He's probably not even drinking right now. He probably sound better than I am.
And yes, Vlad, yes, they have minimalized their crest a bit. There are and I did show that in
David, where's your monochrome hat? Where's your monochrome hat? Why do you even have a Barcelona hat? Actually,
I told that story. I was working. I was working in the desert for a few months. My hat was trash. I only had one hat. So I had to stop over in Barcelona. I got off the plane and there was a Barcelona shop. So I bought a hat, and it was a nice Nike hat. So I fucking bought it.
let me take off my Albanian jersey because it's Albanian instead of Juve. Sorry, guys.
No. Albania's national team never counts.
Just wanted to be an ass.
Congrats on Albania qualifying.
Thanks. Thank you.
Yo, I haven't even touched on like 9 of them.
Good Lord, we're going to be here for 3 hours.
No, I actually.
And this is a good question. And I did pose this at one time as well, I believe. So here, can I ask a genuine question? If we are down the next years, or let's say a decade, will your perception of the logo change because the club's direction, logo connection?
This point was brought up a month or two ago, and I said the same thing. Yes, it will change, but that's because we're going to have developed a brand new history. I'm not disputing the fact that, like, in 10 years, obviously we'll have 10 seasons under our belt. Hopefully 9 of those 10 seasons will have some Champions League in there, and we'll develop the history of drama, wins, losses, hills, valleys.
So again, you're equating your perception of the logo to the success of the team, whereas I looked at the logo from a logo perspective of how they designed it and how they were able to.
Brother, are you a logo fan running a logo channel?
I like logos. Yes, I am a fan of logos. I actually am. That's why Adam England's his article popped up on my news feed, because it's something I'm interested in.
It popped up on my news feed because I subscribe to Juve on Bleacher Report. I mean, like, it's not about Adobe or whatever, Adobe or whatever the fuck it is.
Adobe. Oh boy. Hey, how many drinks in are you, buddy? I think you're just.
I'm probably gonna cab to my friend's house.
Yeah, it's.
They even put the logo next to the stock ticker. I just saw it. I was just looking it up.
Really?
I mean, if you look at
here, give me 1 sec. But
okay, you're looking at that. Okay,
that's actually funny.
That's nice.
No stars. They took our 3rd star away, and we had to win all over again to get that 3rd star back, and we can't even put on there. How many millions do you think they spent on lawyers? And we can't even have it on our actual logo.
I bet you I'm imagining right now Leonardo DiCaprio-esque guy, like a Wolf of Wall Street, just being there. I got you this amazing fucking stock right here, lower in value because they took off their 3 stars. I'm gonna sell you the entire world here. It's called Juventus Football Club SPA. 3 stars gone. It's at a discount. It's at 50 cents a share. Let me go for it.
Yo, both of you guys are mid-30s. Sal, you lived through this too. We went through Calcio.
Dash isn't that old.
Oh gosh, you're a 20 kid?
I'm a fetus.
Oh, jeez.
We
went through Calciopoli. We went through that shame, only to find out 5 or 6 years later that Inter Milan was the one that hired the private investigators, did the exact same bullshit as we did. Wasn't actually necessarily cheating. we just got referees that we were friendly with. Do I think it was a good idea? Absolutely not. But if the whole league's doing it and we're fucking crucified, I think it's bad. So to have to gone through all of that shit, have 2 of our trophies taken away, the only reason Mourinho has a goddamn legacy is because of Calciopoli. Ibrahimovic left. We basically handed over a chunk of the league to Inter to create the dawn of their success, the blip on their radar. We went through all of that shit. 5, 6 years. How many years? 2 years of 7th place. And then 5 years later, 5 years. I aged 5 years. And then we finally win the title. And now it's forgotten that never happened? No, that happened. We have our stars on there because they took 2 away. We had people criticize us. You had Morata, I can't remember, Morata, the guy who owns Inter, say, hey, listen, they shouldn't even be operating under 3 stars. They shouldn't have that out there.
He petty. Well, here, so let me ask you this: how much of it is like Juve fans disacknowledging it, and how much of it is the Italian media and all those guys trying to bury it under wraps? Because I'm going to be honest with you, I'm going to be frank with you. I think FIGC and some of the news outlets there are purposely trying to keep that shit down, because now with everything coming out, they're like, we done fucked up.
There's a statute of limitations. As soon as that first few articles came out, it went. And Dave, as much as you hate it, the way of the conspiracy is the way of Italy. That's just fact.
No, I know you can tell that you're Italian because you buy into the Italian way.
Sometimes it's maybe good, sometimes it's maybe shit.
So for me to have gone through that, I realized that the younger guys, like people at Frank's age, they didn't deal with that shit. It's 2023. I think Frank was probably 2 or 3 years old.
There's maybe an idea in the testicle. Who knows?
You know what I mean?
I don't know who.
I guess I am a boomer. So
well, maybe he's talking to all of us. It's probably a blanket statement.
Yeah, I think he's calling all this.
This is why, but I feel like if we need that passion, the fact that people are so willing to turn things over and forget about that shit, that bothers me.
So let me ask you:
if I'm playing at the Dome 7-on-7, and you know how people buy those Chinese jerseys, they have their whatever, they buy their favorite club, and the whole team wears that.
Alibaba.
Let me tell you, as a keeper, if you're coming into my box with an Inter jersey, I don't with public health care, man. I don't care if I put an elbow to your temple. The doctor will take care of you.
Let me ask you this: who the fuck's wearing an Inter jersey in public? Like, that's the biggest L ever.
Man, Dave, I can't speak on Toronto, but in Ottawa, like when I play old timers, like there is at least in between the 5 divisions, there are at least 3 or 4 teams that wear Inter jerseys.
Yeah, see, I've yet to see it.
I wouldn't say like a team wearing. I've seen a guy wearing it.
Like I've seen a dude wear an Atalanta jersey, which I personally, to me, guys, like I went up to him and I shook his hand.
Oh, for sure, that's awesome.
Like that's one of those things where I like went, and he had like the Stone City in the corner, like old Atalanta before it was cool. So it was like one of those things where I was like, hey man, respect. But my question for you is this then. So this was a topic that was brought up in one of our podcast episodes, and I was one of those guys that was in the negative for it. I don't want to say the negative, but this. So Arsenal fans milk the invincible season every single fucking year. I have to hear, hey, remember the last time? You remember when Wagner's the only coach that went undefeated this season?
Why are you so petty?
I'm going to be petty. So I said, because a lot of people were making the argument, well, Juve should milk theirs and Juve don't milk theirs enough. And I think we don't. And my argument was this: we don't milk it because we're a club of higher standards, right?
We don't milk it because it's expected.
It is. And that was my argument, because everyone's like, well, why don't we like milk it and do it? Because I'm like, Juve don't give a shit.
Yeah, we're above that, right? That's what I feel. I don't want to be that fan anyways, because I see that. Again, I'm a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, and that's what Toronto fans are like. They're just going to talk about things that happened 70 years ago like anybody cares. You know, like I don't want to be that guy.
Yo, can I touch on something that I think is Vlad said?
Yeah, of course.
I would choose a dinner with John Elkin on the main reason that Jay-Z is a fucking rhyme thief. He's a bum. He's a bum.
Oh man. If Biggie never got killed,
you wouldn't know anything about Jay-Z.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's true.
I was born. I'm a New York, New Jersey guy. I was born on the East Coast. I was when Biggie and all those guys came out. I think I was maybe 11, 12. So I was there through the whole thing. And yeah, Jay-Z was. Tupac actually used to make, when he was still alive, he used to make diss tracks about Jay-Z, calling him a dude in a Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah. That's some boomer knowledge dropped on you little kids.
Yeah.
So this is funny. Dave's like, I swear Dash is right. I've never seen an Inter jersey in the wild. Like seriously, even if you look on Twitter, like I have not seen like an actual like Inter fan with their face on something. The only person that's like a full blown 100% Inter fan is Nima that I've actually seen like a face. Like I don't do they maybe Peter from IFTV. I think that's the only other Inter fan that I've like physically seen.
Priori Masonry in Ottawa. They sponsor a team, and they're all in Inter jerseys. I would like to say real quick though that the team I play on is in Juve jerseys, and we don't lose to the teams with Inter jerseys.
because you're
Priori Masonry in Ottawa, boys.
Oh man.
And then yeah, because that's why I don't want us to sit there and just start milking the hell out of that undefeated season. It's like for us, it's like for me, I've always said it. It's like the next title is always the greatest title. Great, we were undefeated in Serie A, fan-freaking-tastic. But like,
the problem with that is we've got 30 Scudettos and we care about UEFA trophies, and we don't care as much about Scudetto.
Go ahead,
Sal. Sal's got a rip.
I think the significance of the undefeated season was that was our first season back. Right.
It's the turnaround, yeah.
That was the turnaround year. That I think also was the first year that we had the stadium. That was the undefeated season. So there was a couple of things in play there with that. Although I can't even remember. We had a shit ton of ties that year.
Yeah, it was like 12 or 13 of them or something like that.
It was quite a bit. I mean, still a feat nonetheless, but I think it was that plus I think some of the other milestones that we hit. But yeah, same thing. I mean, I think it's more just like, did you do it, right? Inter, they're not.
The only thing they have is the treble, honestly. And even then, it's just kind of like, okay, great, fantastic. You had one great year, and then what? Yeah. Right? Where it's like 4 domestic doubles, 5 Scudetti, and it's like, oh, well, you played against weaker competition. Okay, well, fucking do better.
It's the treble. They love it so much because Juve. That's the one thing that they did that Juve hasn't managed to do.
And then when we win the treble, which I'm pretty positive we will at some point, then what do they got?
Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit?
I know.
Copa?
I know, but
if any of us had any fucking sense, we would be making sure that our youth played in it and not giving a shit if we got that trophy. I could not. Who cares? Put the youth in there, rest our guys, get us the Scudetto, and have Nicolucci and all those guys play in the Copa. Who cares? We barely make any money off it anyways.
I think you only win $6.5 million.
That's what I mean. Like, let the youth go through that. Yildiz play in that. Nicolucci play in that.
I think you make more in the Copa than you make in the Conference League. Like if you won the Conference League. It was funny because I was listening to someone make an argument. They're like, well, my my Eastern European country went toe to toe with like a European giant. I'm like, dude, because no one gives a fuck about the Conference League in the group stages. Like you think about it. Like if I'm let's use Fiorentina, right? If I'm Fiorentina and I'm competing for top 4 in the league and I'm in the Conference League at the same time, fuck the Conference League group stages. Like there, I'll play my backups. If I make something work, I make something work. But at this point, I'm trying to push up top 4 on that table if I can, or even top 5 or 6, because if you place higher than 6th place, you make more money than what you would if you played in the Conference League and won the whole damn thing. Like the prize money is an absolute joke. I always sit there and I listen to people like, oh my gosh, look at this topper European team, this Premier League team, or this team drop points in the Conference League. Dude, they will make enough to get out of the group stages. They just don't care because seeding in their actual league makes them more money.
I still like seeing West Ham beating Fiorentina in the final, though.
That was absolutely hysterical. I'm sorry.
I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Because that, to me, started the domino of me trolling FIGC that entire summer.
For me, I'm a little torn on that shit because, like, so my mom being Italian, I definitely usually support the Azzurri. given the lack of support from the FIGC, I've kind of had a little personal boycott of the games recently. But for Fiorentina to lose, I found that disappointing. I mean, like at the end of the day, I want Italy to do well with Italians. And to see Fiorentina shit the bed, I mean, it was disappointing, man. It was disappointing.
Fiorentina
Because of the state of the Azzurri right now.
Yeah, Fiorentina.
But not one team roots for not one. And I thought the same way up until a few years back. But not one team wants you. Not one Italian team wants Juve to do well, or their fans. Not one.
Yeah.
But that's because
they'd rather see them crash and burn. You know, when Juve lost, I think what was it against Madrid? They were lighting fireworks off in Napoli. You know what I mean? Like I can't, especially if there's no Juve players like we had for a while not playing in qualifying. I've never was so. There was never a point I was that disinterested in the Azzurri. It was because that was my first love. I followed the Nazionale before I followed Juve.
Well, that's how most of us children of immigrants kind of start with it, right? Like that's how I was.
Yeah, for me it was Italia 90, but Boomer, right? It was Italia 90.
It was a good tournament though.
Yeah, and I was 94, I think, is when I really started paying attention.
It was Italia 90. It was Toto Schilacci, right? Like my nickname is Toto. I'm my Salvatore, right? So for me, that was it. I was all in, and I followed the Azzurri, forever since then. It was. Yeah. Now it was so weird. It was so weird having that sensation of they're playing. They lost to England. Meh. Like I get to that interest. But seeing Gatti and seeing Chiesa score again, against North Macedonia, it brought it back. It was nice. A little bit. It brought it back. I started to get that.
Well, because the storyline was that 4 Inter players were starting.
Yeah.
But then it was Chiesa after Jorginho decided to just.
Why is he taking penalties?
Oh God!
Why does he take a penalty?
Why is he playing?
He's playing because there was injuries. Is what I think it came down to. But
he missed what against Switzerland 2?
Like it's bad. He's
his last 4, brother.
Yeah, but
he's fired. He has to be
qualifying where we needed those. We if we would have made those, we wouldn't have had to have gone to a playoff. You know what I mean? Like,
of course, I know.
Why?
I think I'm an 84 kid, so USA 94. I vividly remember being with my grandparents. My on my mom's side, my grandparents, my dad was with us. My dad's English, and my dad cheering in the middle of a room of Italians when Baggio hit the crossbar.
You know what?
Bitch.
My best memory of Baggio in that World Cup was coming back against Nigeria, where we were going to get knocked out by Nigeria.
Yeah.
And it was like you couldn't believe it. And then this guy just out of nowhere. And that's the thing, we wouldn't have he carried us on bad knees to that final. He dragged that team to the finals.
But that's another thing. I think because of our age, I think a lot of people forget the evolution that we went through in that 90 to 96 period, what kind of football we were playing with the defense we had, with the midfield we had. And we didn't have per se the Maldinis of the world on those squads up until 96.
We had his dad.
You had Baresi.
For the Azzurri, I'm talking about Juve though.
Oh, for Juve, yeah.
For Juve, we didn't have that. But if you look at those teams up until that point where we did win the European Cup, I believe it was called at the time, there's a lot of Allegri in those teams, but there's no handcuffs on those teams. And I know we've had a discussion where Allegri's depending on people's own creativity, but I truly believe, having watched way too many fucking Allegri games, that there's a handcuff on the players.
Unpopular opinion here, if I can steal Dash's favorite, saying.
Go for it.
We don't have to agree with Dash here.
Fuck Dash.
I think
he's a douchebag.
All said and done, I think Allegri would make an amazing Nazionale coach.
I think so.
See, a tournament coach, absolutely. A tournament coach, absolutely.
I'd love to see him there. I'd love to see him as a national coach.
Well, I don't think that's gonna Spalletti. I don't know. Let's see if he turns these guys around. Macedonia, that was exciting. Maybe not the defensive style we're used to.
Macedonia.
It's Macedonia.
I
have a guy. One of my good friends lives there, and I specifically asked him, "How do you spell it so I don't fuck this up?" It is Macedonia because in that language the C's are hard and they're said like K's.
Bulgarians don't even call that place Macedonia.
Yeah,
Macedonians
I mean, it's
do.
interesting because, like, for example, with us, the Albanians, they're neighbors.
Bulgarians and Macedonians is the same thing.
Yeah, Macedonia. That's what we call them in Albanian.
Yeah, or like the CH. But
how do we call them in English? Let's just ask the English folk. Go to Britain and be like, what you call these guys? North Macedonia.
I've had so I have a shirt. I have a Macedonian shirt. My buddy gave it to me. And I was it was at a Metallica concert of all things, and I was at the merch table, and the lady there is like, "Oh, Macedonia."
You've been to a Metallica concert?
Yeah, 2 of them.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah,
Jay's Carr says he likes their cookies.
Yeah, thank you.
Fucking Carr.
One's a cookie. One's
fucking Carr. A la verga, pinche Carr.
What cookie is this?
The
Macedonians?
Oh, macadamia.
And that's
the one from Subway.
Hey, Dave, this one's funny. I'm pulling this one up. So he says, "Oh my God, the German media tonight. No one mentioned Yildiz here ever since or after Bayern. Now he scored against Germany, and they're thrashing Bayern for letting go of a true gem." I can just imagine. This Liechtenstein, this deal, Canon Yildiz, they let him go. He's absolutely garbage.
Can any of you three give a proper reason as to why he hasn't been given any more game time? I'm just going back to why I have a beef with Allegri being the coach this time.
Allegri loves him.
He loves him, but he doesn't.
He loves him a minute a month.
He talks about him like I haven't heard him talk like that about a player since Fagioli.
It's almost like child grooming and pedophilia. It's really weird. I get it.
Allegri loves his pizza.
Oh man.
Well,
so
get some Copa minutes, like that's what I'm hoping he does. I'm hoping you get to see some of those guys. You get Nicolucci. You'll get to see Yildiz a little bit. Right?
I think we will.
I think the issue, right? So I think the issue with Yildiz is he's like a cam or a second striker, right? And the issue is right now is like we're running. It's almost like a inverted 3 in the middle. Wow, just really weird hand motions there. I gotta be careful with that. But so he's there. So essentially he can't play the deep line guy. He has to play the trequartista or the 10. Or it's like tactically there's no 10. And then if you look at him to play as the 2. You have Dusan, which unfortunately for him, we have to play this guy because the money, the stupid. I blame Arrivabene and Cherubini. And then you have Chiesa next to him, and then you have Milik, and then you have Keane. So unless Yildiz is able to overtake his starting spot, because I am, again, this is my philosophy. You got to ball out in training. If you can beat the guys in front of you in training, you're going to start in a sense. But for Yildiz, oh, come on. All right, that's fine.
What are you going to tell me? Are you going to tell me that Keane has not been beating Dusan for the first 7 games this season?
There's politics behind this.
I agree with your logic, man. I'm 100 on board with your logic. You got to practice you play Lawrence Taylor type shit. I'm down with that. But Allegri isn't.
The problem with Dusan is the dude is essentially at 85 million with 13 million a season. The board's going to say, "Hey man,
you got to play him so we can focus on his ineptitude so the whole world can see that he's shit in the bed."
The problem is
value him even more.
The club is like, "Hey, I think we need to they're like, "Hey, let's play him a little bit." And then they played him and then he fucking fucked all on that one because in my opinion, how do you at his point, he was at 0. How the hell do you go from below 0 as far as production goes, in my opinion? So it's now okay, now it's there's no justification. You cannot play at this point. That's how terrible it's to the point where his value is detrimental if they continue to play him.
I've been talking shit for Keane for at least 3 or 4 years. Doosan's been a waste of money, but your philosophy, as much as I agree with it, is not what's being employed at Juve.
No, because of the bureaucracy of it, and I think there is a bit of playing to those politics as well, that you have to at least semi-regularly put Vlahovic in, but because you're rotating Vlahovic, you still have to get the other guy that you're paying a few $1 million a year, and Yildiz is kind of.
This is the scenario I have in my head.
Doosan has dirty pictures of
Allegri. It's past 2 games. Doosan came in the last 15 to 25 minutes, correct?
Yeah.
Give or take.
Yeah, something like that.
So, to be on the bright side, I don't want to be the DT of this channel. I might slap a woman tonight just to kind of balance it out.
Why? What is this for? Man, this fucking Dave and Dash guy. He got on my nerves.
I like to hope that maybe Allegri has won maybe some sort of battle in terms of saying, like, listen, my guy's going to start, i.e. Kane, and Doosan will give him some time, but we'll let our guy grow. That's what I like to hope, like to believe.
Yeah.
If that's the case, I mean, who the fuck knows? But
well, yeah, idealistically, and I think we've expressed at this point in time, me and Dash are both in agreement that if you can get the money for Doosan, you do it. It's just realistically, you're taking a loss at this point. And again, it comes back to the bureaucracy and the finances. Our hands are tied in that sense, right? So we're trying to play him.
Guys, do you not think we're making our situation worse? We're literally
it's a catch-22.
How shit he is.
The problem
we're damned if you, we're damned if we don't.
We just be like, yo, his back injury is not something we can heal. We hear German or English hospitals are better. You guys should buy him, fix him, and he's gonna be fantastic.
But the problem is if you're a club and you're like, okay, why is he sitting? Like, the issue is that he's sitting on a bench, so a club's gonna sit there and be like, well, this guy hasn't played a minute. What the fuck?
No matter what, we're
screwed. We're screwed.
Yeah, we're getting fucked.
So the best case of getting fucked is Keane starting more and more to some consistency.
But it comes down to, like, that's how you like getting fucked. Maybe Keane likes getting fucked a different way, right? So, like, it comes back to we all have our preferences.
More lube.
I feel like you could have run with that in a different direction. It would have landed better.
Super lube.
But
Go ahead, Sal.
Talked about this already, but did you hear some of the Mercado rumors about putting Vlahovic in a package where we also get DePaul?
Yeah, DePaul.
Yeah, we did
Morata.
actually. Yeah, that was one of the topics.
I'm
that
going
was on Discord, actually.
I'm going with chloroform to chloroform Doosan and ship him to Atletico first thing tomorrow morning. So don't worry, we got that.
Yeah, I think this is one of those FIFA deals, right? Like you can package everything up and it looks good.
The rumor. Here's the thing about the rumor. If you trace that shit back, you know what I keep finding? Calcio fucking Mercado. The worst fucking source you can find. Because I don't like talking about shit unless I can back it up, and you cannot back up anything that those guys say.
No. It was just one of those interesting conversations that were. It seemed to be
there were
pop
two
culture
articles
around the Juve.
There was 2 articles, one of which was GDS, and there was it was Doosan out, $40 million, DePaul, Morata.
Mm-hmm.
Kaká.
I don't want Morata back.
I'm a huge Morata fan, but that chapter's closed. I was super upset when the buyback clause was triggered.
This would be chapter 3. Like, bad enough doing it once. You know what I mean?
So hear me out. So the new offside rule is apparently going to be a thing in 24-25. If we get Morata, that sucker's banging in 40 every season. I don't give a shit about what anybody says.
I haven't seen anything like it since Pippo Inzaghi.
I'm just saying.
The guy got called offside. It was ridiculous.
He had an offside hat trick. That's fucking legendary.
Again, it sounds idealistic. It's cool. Like, oh, I'm playing FIFA. That's a trade I would make, right? Realistically, I don't know. I think it's just Kelson McCurdo.
If we have to spend $40 million on that, you will literally see me have an anxiety and or heart attack on this.
Oh,
fucking-
so you're saying the 40 million is going the other way? That's dumb.
it's not coming to us.
No, okay, no, that's
No,
dumb.
no.
That's dumb.
Oh God, no. The only thing they'll give us is maybe 2 tuggies and a pulley. That's it.
It's not coming to us. We don't get the 40 million. Like I'm a proponent of Illing. If Illing goes, that can't be in some sort of Hoiberg fucking trade. That's got to be invested in a Thuram or in that kind of direction.
You would hope
Calvin-
selling Illing separately would get you more money.
Go ahead, Sal. You cut
I was
him
gonna
off.
say Calvin Phillips. I know that's what.
I don't like how you cut me off.
Kelvin, I don't think he's coming. I don't think he's leaving England. That's what the problem is. Especially if
we
there's
got good looking
clubs in
girls.
England.
We got good looking girls in Turin.
It's
Listen.
just I just had the feeling.
So for the Calvin Phillips thing, man, as like someone, like I said, I've watched him for years being a Leeds guy. The problem with Calvin Phillips, as much as I love him, is that he is better than for me. Misak would freak out right now, but for me, he's a better Locatelli. He's not going to fix our problems in terms of he might add a goal or two in terms of assists or chances created throughout the year, but on a per game basis, we're looking at like to go your route like 0.2. For me, he's a much better Locatelli.
Yeah, and that's going to be the problem. Is
It's not
is
filling
he
a void
too
we
much
need.
of what we already have? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, or we're saying the same thing differently again. I mean, it always comes back to that. It's what you prefer to say.
He's not wrong about Morata like being like I don't know what the hell he did. Maybe his wife has been giving him some sloppy every morning or something like that. But like he's a totally different man.
So for me, and I maybe I should pose this question to Misak while Misak is around, but I feel like Locatelli and Rabiot are very, very, very close in terms of what
Capability?
they do.
Yeah.
So for me, and definitely being pro-Italian in terms of a core, once his contract runs out, which I understand is actually trying to be extended, I don't understand why we're not trying to get rid of Rabiot. Not trying to. That's a huge, huge wage that we could build off of.
That's Allegri. That's Allegri.
But so this is what I don't understand, especially in a 3-5-2. Like you don't need two of the same players, man. Like you don't play football, you don't play American football with two quarterbacks. And if you're playing this system where Locatelli is running the show, why are we doing something where we have this a guy with the same skill set just to the left of him?
I think a lot of this is speculation as well, right? Because it is a lot of just those trash Italian newspapers that are.
No, I mean currently with Locatelli and Rabiot starting together, why are we not experimenting more with the youth? Why was Rabiot such a necessary sign if he has the same characteristics?
I think there's the Allegri thing, the consistency. I think Rabiot is a decent player for that position. It's just we don't have that creative player currently to play off that. We're missing the piece that would make Rabiot look a lot better. Like the French national
Are we
team,
missing it? Are we missing it? Or are we not giving it a chance?
But okay, if we don't give it a chance, I guess we never know. That's an unknown. So perhaps yes, perhaps we're not giving it a chance, but we don't know until we do it.
And that's why, to circle back, that's where my beef for Allegri at this current chapter of Juve starts from.
Well, we're gonna see something, I think, against Inter because we have to. All the injuries, we have no choice.
Trade Dusan for Morata. That's gonna be the new motto.
Problems too, right? I don't think Bastoni's going to be fit for that game.
No, Bastoni is not.
No, they have a horrendous of a back line. They've got Cervi, they've got Darmian, and they have De Vrij. Yeah, because what's his face? Pavard is injured as well.
Yep. Yeah,
So,
they're vulnerable.
They're extremely vulnerable. Go ahead, Sal. Sorry.
No, I was just saying that's another thing real quick. So I think and I'm looking here, it looks like Atletico plays 3-5-1-1. So for us,
system.
Paul and Murata, I don't know.
I like where this is going. Do I see a potential swap?
I mean, there's credence, but I would, even if it was Vlahovic for DePaul and Morata.
Yeah.
Shit, I don't even care.
I
Just give me
I would-
Morata. I'll fly Deuce on myself. I'll buy a Cessna and fly him over.
But
Did
I
you
mean,
say a Cessna? You gonna bring
you
in
get
a Cessna?
hit the back.
Pond hopper. Pond jumper.
Yeah, I'm putting on my dash hat right now because I'm like, you get to keep 3 at the back. You can slot. I mean, do you put Chiesa back as a left mid?
No.
No.
Point is a 10.
But
I
you
think
would play him in the Griezmann spot, basically.
yes.
Yildiz is a 10.
Yildiz and Chiesa.
Roll 10. Yes, I agree with you. But
I
like,
think you keep Chiesa where he's at. Yildiz is a 10.
I think
And not only does that make sense as a goalie, we just know better. It's in our position. I'll leave it at that.
yeah, I think, and this is what irritates me because this is a very disingenuous take that people are making after the Italy, Macedonia cookies biscuits game. Everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, Federico Chiesa needs to start on the left wing." Well, guys, his goals were all from the middle of the pitch as a second striker. Like, yeah. Why put him on the left where he has to move more to get closer to the net?
Yeah, and they were all from a decent distance too, right? Like
If you have Loca and Rabiot with Yildiz as your 10 in the 3-5-2, I think you see it in almost immediate change in philosophy of that team.
I think. I mean, obviously, I think
You
Yildiz needs to get more
think
minutes.
I'm pretty fucking right.
Well, we'll see it, and then if you are, then I'll say this Colin guy is quite accurate on his stuff.
that second Chiesa goal, although the placement of where the ball went in was a little different, it was more Golazzo this time. But that placement and basically his movement and how he basically released the shot was almost identical to how he scored against the Euros.
yeah, he looked Euro-esque.
Yes. Yeah, but like just how he stopped, shifted, just it was nice.
But he was playing hurt. He took that knock and he seemed pretty sore, but he got through it.
Man, these youngsters with how easy they are to get injured absolutely just baffles me at this point.
It's not an injury thing, man. That's a heart thing. It's what you're willing to play through and what they're not willing to play through.
The one thing though that I did like, I mean, not that I ever want to see Chiesa fall down like that and have that reaction to pain, is a lot of times I think his issues has been how much he trusts himself since that injury. I think there's like a lot of PTSD there. So the fact that he was able to recover from that knock and then score 2 goals in the manner that he did was very encouraging.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that looked all right, but like seeing him at Juve games too, like the guy's a soft little something or else, man. Like he's I'm not a fan. I think he's soft.
I can't believe. Speaking of, this is random footy fact because I was looking at some Atletico stuff. Remember when remember when Allegri wanted Axel Witsel? Fucking Simeone has him playing as a center back. I don't want to hear the jokes where everyone's like, Allegri's signing this player to play as a left back. No. You guys don't understand terror ball unless you know Diego Simeone. My dude took a midfielder and put him at center back.
Well,
Holy smokes.
Can Vlad and Elatok type in as to why they don't participate in the call-ins?
David doesn't like my face. That's why.
I think he's probably working out
checking
himself in the mirror.
He's probably lifting. He's like bench pressing his PR. He's like, what the hell did they just say?
There's mirrors on all 3 walls. And there's somebody filming him.
Yeah, if you've ever seen David is yoked. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, David is yoked. He's a pretty big dude.
So we're making fun because he was showing us photos of him in the gym of like the other people doing that kind of shit.
Yeah, because I was like, because it was funny because he was listening to us while we were live streaming. He's like, yeah, I'm just getting a set, and I'm like, what the fuck, David? Are you seriously working out while listening to us talk about it? He's like, yeah.
I was
He sent
2
us a
a.m.
picture
his
of it.
time.
He's an absolute David is a beast. He is I'm a stud, as Arnold would say it. Vlad says Kai Havertz played as a left back today.
Oh, hold on. Who controls the little blurb at the bottom here? Is that Dave?
Yeah, it's
Me or
I'm the
Dave?
one clicking. But Dash.
All
Yeah.
right, I noticed one that you guys I probably accidentally skipped, of course. The one
that's
that
better.
says I agree with Colin. You see that?
This
That
one right here? No, I'm just kidding. Oh, this one. Okay, there it is. It's there.
Now,
I might have missed that one.
the one thing you didn't miss it, Dave.
No, I wouldn't have.
You didn't miss it. You catch everything.
I've had a couple drinks. I'm.
Live in breaking news at the Turin Giants. Dave might be a little bit drunk, and David Ellitalk is doing cardio at 1:24 in the morning.
Thing, so I don't want Yildiz to start against Inter, but if you had played in the fucking Copa games,
we haven't had a Copa game.
I'd be on board with that. This is what I don't understand, man. We went and stole Yildiz from Bayern. We have Nicolucci. We don't know what Nicolucci could do, but we could at least. So you can practice like you play, how you practice and how you play, or it's not the same shit. The intensity might be the same, and you can employ that at the same time. But like while you're playing in a match, it's not the same shit, man. So like, this is why we need to experiment. We need to start using these players so they're ready for these moments when the moments happen. Who's to say that somebody someone knock on wood? I don't have any wood around me, but what if someone breaks a leg or whatever? Then we're like, oh shit, well fuck, we haven't used it for more than 23 minutes over a span of 18 games, but hopefully you can fucking do it. Like, that's retarded, man. That's retarded.
But is anybody arguing against you though? Really? I think we would just kind of put.
No. Sorry, I'm not yelling at you guys.
Yeah,
I'm venting to my lads. I'm venting to my
want
boys.
this. Yes, we all want this at the end.
I'm actually staring at Dash while I'm doing this, yelling at him. But
Are we playing Salernitana round of 16?
Yes.
I mean, yeah. I don't.
You know what I mean? Like, why not, man? What do we have to lose?
Oh shit, boy. Jeff's here.
Oh boy.
Yes, sir.
Damn, he got a new camera, new resolution, everything. He did Beppe for one stream. He's like,
your beard looks even more crisp than usual.
He upgrades all his stuff to talk with Beppe, but then he's like, I guess I'll upgrade it for Dave and Dash.
I'm sorry, Dave and Dash, you're actually on the Colin show.
You are on Colin show.
Yeah. Oh man, what's good, guys?
What's up, Jeff?
Nothing much. Just I need to take a break because I was writing like a 7-page essay on a fucking movie analysis, and my head was about to explode. So yeah, go figures.
Yo, is that Yao Ming beside the China cabinet?
I think so.
It's his child portrait.
I think it is.
Yeah, I just noticed that. Yeah. Not even like literally like. I'm just zoned out most of the time because of like just sitting there and just typing. Oh, it's fun. But yeah.
But I'm all down for Yildiz playing against Salernitana. And another thing, while I'll always be a Yildiz fan, is because this is the one time in recent memory that we have done something better than Bayern when the two teams were involved in any kind of mercado.
But hold up, why the fuck we buying these people if we're not playing them, man?
Hold on. So let me go on this because so here's the thing. Yildiz was on the under-19 team at Bayern. He came to our under-19 team with the hopes of being promoted. We got to remember, dude, the dude got bumped up 3 separate squads within a time span of 8 months, which is like, in my opinion, that's really unheard of unless you are like a messiah of messiahs in a sense.
Jonathan Davies, Whitecaps to Bayern.
But that was straight up though. It wasn't through the Bayern Academy.
No, you're right. That was straight up.
He's a very specific case. Like, yes, Davies, but
he's also a genetic specimen, though.
He is like single-handedly the best fullback in the world.
If Bayern can afford to take the chance, why cannot we? And I'm not saying take the chance against Inter, I'm solely saying take the chance during Copa. You went out of your way to, and I think made a fantastic decision to go get him.
But is anybody saying that you're incorrect though?
No, we're not saying you're incorrect. I'm saying,
Yes.
Colin, we don't have any Copa games yet. That's the issue. We haven't had any Copa games to play
But we
him
have
in.
had Leches, we have had Empolis, we have had.
Okay,
We've
but
had
he,
the
pl-
opportunity.
he has played in some of those games. I think he played it. Did he play in? I think he played in Lecce. But the issue is like, okay, so if we throw in Yildiz and he misses a howler, what's that going to do to Yildiz? Is that going to bury him? Because I guarantee you, there's going to be a bunch of people on social
but-
media. They're going to be like, this guy was shit. This guy was terrible.
Yeah, of course, and we still do it to Ronaldo after his like 10,000th goal. Let's reference for this particular thing that you just said. Let's reference Fagioli. Starts crying on the bench, and then fucking whatever amount of time afterwards, we're all like, hey, we better give him the safe space because he was like, he obviously
Oh,
cares.
fuck him.
Turns out this guy fucking broke the bank. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I think people were. Yildiz missed a pretty big chance when he came on as a sub his last game, right? If I'm like,
Yeah, it was
was a
Verona.
sitter basically.
Yeah.
But I forgave him. Like
I think we need a, with Yildiz is like a special case because he's very talented. If I'm gonna play him, I think I'll just play him as a trequartista, like an attacking mid. So
36 minutes.
I just want to see him what he's about at the end of the day. If I can have him as a like trequartista, because I think that is what we need. We need that creative entity, so we can like supply Chiesa, Vlahovic, or Keane. Then I think that would be my case for Yildiz. I think if he really wants to start, he should start there. That's
You know what? Thank you, Jeff. You just said everything I expected Dash to say. Dash, I just
Talking for 2 hours. Cut me some slack.
I know.
Damn.
And Jeff came in for maybe 37 seconds.
You want to know why? You want to know why, Jeff?
Paraphrased everything you should have.
You
Okay?
want to know why he did that? Because we're Albanian and Albanians can read each other's minds.
Totally, bro. For
It's
sure,
the,
bro.
the Sheepa connection.
We're just celebrating, bro. We're celebrating.
We still, I'm like 50 Rakis in. I still haven't finished from qualifying for Berlin.
What do you guys make your Iraqi out?
You can make it out of anything, bro. It depends. Like, for example, depends on
Like
what region of the
plum,
country. Grapes, peaches, pears.
Grapes is grub.
Yeah.
So it's like shit. Any you give an Albanian anything, he makes rakia. You give him salt, he makes rakia. You give him hopes and dreams, he makes rakia. It's
for sure.
There are no hopes and dreams there.
it is Albanian specialty. My friend, we got you. Whatever you want, we get it for you. It is no problem. Even if we steal
Turkish
it from
coffee
David
and
Beckham.
rakia, bro. It's what it's in our blood. Like our blood types Turkish coffee and rakia. That's it.
And Vegeta.
We have
And
5
Vegeta.
boxes on the screen right now. If you got 12 boxes on the screen right now, more or less, we'd all be arguing different variations of the same fucking point.
That's what we've done for the past 2 hours.
I know.
Wait. Can you guys elaborate what you guys been arguing?
Everything.
I feel like with Yildiz really identifies or really hits the markers of what we're all bitching about. So if we can see it, I feel like a lot of people can see it. I'm starting to feel like it's not an Allegri thing per se, but the idea Allegri is an old school guy, and old school Italians, they were not ones to trust youth.
I agree. I wish Allegri had played 5-6 years ago, Kingsley Coman. I wonder what would have happened if we had implemented him 5, 6, 7 years ago, whenever he was a Juve, obviously.
He technically gave Keane his big break back then. Like he helped
No,
Keane
I'm
break
not-
through. Yeah.
I think he does do it. He does give, I would say, younger players chance, just not as much. I don't think he gives a lot, too many.
I mean, it's hit or miss, right? I mean, it's not where he's like Jurgen Klopp, where I think Jurgen Klopp will hit more than he misses when it comes to bringing in younger players and cultivating it. But that's kind of like how Bundesliga coaches are. But
I think with the exception of Illing, I mean, and also because he doesn't really have many other options, but I mean, he has played a decent amount of youth. I don't know.
Here we go.
I don't know how bad Illing is training. That we've barely seen him.
What
But
youth has he played that has not been after an injury?
I think this has. I don't think this has to do with training or anything. I think it has to do with the quality of player Ailing is. I think he's more of an attack-minded player, where like Kostic, for example, when he's putting Kostic, he kind of tends to go back and defend, and he's been doing a pretty decent job in the last 3 games defensively. I'm not saying only attacking because I think attacking.
That's just one, Jeff. That's one facet of our game, though. We need to
I know.
attack.
Well,
Is it though?
I wanted to imply. This is what I was going to say. This is my implication on Allegri. I think he's like a Bill Belichick, where like I think defensively he knows how to structure, like solidify the defense, but he's not really like I think he's mediocre when he tries to have an attacking plan, unless we have world-class players.
So maybe he's a better club at this point for Juve. Maybe he's a better club president than he is a manager.
No, I am.
No. If you were in charge, it'd take us 20 years to get 2 seasons.
Yeah, okay.
We just need to bring in Jeff.
Totally. We got to make Juve great again.
No, I just buy half the Albanian national team and start them as midfielders because they're better than ours.
Oh, yeah. Facts. So we got to put Aslani in there too, man. Like Aslani's got
him going to Inter was the stupidest move he ever did for his career. Promising defensive midfield, legitimately what we need at Juve as a regista. Legitimately, what we need is what Christian Aslani is. But he's like, I'm gonna go to Inter because he's like, they'll give me minutes.
I don't
know because like also what I'm trying to figure out with this
you
is
cut
like,
Saul off. Let Saul go first.
Yeah, I was just who's going first?
Saul.
Okay, go ahead.
I think Allegri is versatile. I think he can tinker, right? I remember when he did the 4-3-2-1, right? I think it was 2018 season.
Yep.
Right? Give or take. Like, I mean, and they played really well. Like that fit that team's style. Like at the time I remember being like, wow, like that's when I really viewed him like as a tactician. That was probably the time where I was like, all right, Allegri knows what he's doing. And then he got burned in Cardiff. And I don't think he's ever quite fully recovered from that. And then on top of that, like you said, just personnel. So I think he can know how to. I think he does have it. He can be attack minded if he feels like he's in a good spot to do it. I don't think he is right now. So.
I don't think I forgot this. I remember this, but go ahead, Jeff.
Oh, dude. Oh, wait. You're talking about Vlad's comment? Oh, that shit pissed me off. I remember that one.
No era español.
I respect the OG. I'm not going to argue with the OG.
All right. Who's next? Go.
Go ahead, Colin.
Weren't you going to say something? I told because you were going to say something.
But I was just like,
I'm like literally my freaking brains turned into like.
They respect my elders.
Sometimes I forget really quick, but I think I was referring to like just Allegri's defensive capabilities, and like I don't think he can like usher in an attacking plan. I don't know why, but
that's what I mean. Like over the course of this conversation that we've had tonight, I almost feel like he would be a better choice for club president. Almost.
Maybe he transitions out of that after this. Who knows?
So if we don't have,
there was rumors though. There was rumors and reports about that last year.
Go ahead, Saul.
If we don't have clinical strikers, right? If the only way our strikers currently can succeed is by getting a decent amount of opportunities per game. How do we do that with this personnel, right?
We did it with Matri. We did it with Vucinic.
Well, Allegri or any coach, how would we do that with this? How do we do that with this formation, with this team? What kind of formation will we use? What is it Allegri's not seeing? Because I'm not seeing it either.
There's nothing wrong with a 3-5-2. It's who we choose while we're employing the 3-5-2 that the fucking problem is. That's where the cowardice comes from. That's where the issue comes.
For me, it comes in the middle of the park. I think like how we're positioning our midfield. I'm always gonna say like have Rabiot and Locatelli play 2 together and then put somebody in the attacking mid. That's what I would do.
Problem is though.
That's what I'm wondering. Like who?
Yildiz or Moretti. That's it.
I don't think Moretti has proven that he can do that. Yield is still an unknown, and we would love him to be able to do that.
I think even with Moretti having had significantly more playing time, I still have more faith in Yildiz. For every moment I have in Moretti, I have another like, huh?
I mean he's kind of stagnated a bit with his development, and we obviously want him to make that next step.
That's why I think he's stagnating, is because I think he's played out of position. I don't think him playing as a Midzala is the right position. I think he should play more in the attacking mid. That's what I would like to see.
Ooh, Moretti?
Yeah.
I think
Moretti has played though last season in the one. We've done a 3-5-1-1 and Moretti.
He did better there though. This year
he did not do well there.
Guys, no. Statistically, he was worse because he's more of a pivot than he is a number 10. Like Moretti plays a lot better as a pivot than a 10. But
like I love the kid. Don't get me wrong,
him.
But he had stagnated.
Like he's a good kid.
But I love all our guys.
So again, the issue is so a lot of people are talking about the midfield, but the number at hand, 26 missed chances. How do we fix that? We lead the league in missed big chances. If there was a statistic for missed chances, it would probably be 3 times more than that. But for 26 tap-in chances that we have missed, how do we fix that?
Not to be competitive, but it would be nice to have like a breakdown of the several. I'm hoping several players that have missed those said chances.
I got you. Give me like
if it's like fucking 21 to Doosan, like I'll be in shock and won't have much to say.
Missing those,
but if it's evenly spread amongst like several players,
I feel it is
nothing to say. I don't know.
The top 2 on.
Do you feel like Chiesa is involved as much? Do we think we involve Chiesa on the field a lot?
No, I feel like everyone's fucking. I really feel like he's overrated. I feel like he's overrated and we're putting too much into him.
I don't think so. No.
All right, folks, I got it for you. Give me 1 second here. All right, so looking at missed big chances. So
Chiesa.
Yeah, so I said Kane and Chiesa
tied with Doosan, and they both are our top goal scorers.
Yeah, but we've all agreed that Doosan's already a bum, though.
Yeah, but look at that shot conversion rate for Kane, 0%. I mean, come on.
But 2 of them were stolen. 2 were stolen. We gotta.
Rugani has the best conversion rate on the entire roster.
There you go.
Listen. If you went home the way he went home, you'd be doing that too.
There's a reason why he's made our background, that man.
Oh, hold on. Keep scrolling. Do you mind stopping at Rugani at the top? Just so we get the full frame at the bottom of the list.
Oh, okay.
But these are one. Like they shot conversion rate 25%.
But look at the ones that are half decent. That to me says set pieces. Gleason Bremer, Cambiaso, Gatti, Rugani.
Yeah, because our defense are scoring all the goals in the last 7 games.
It's because it's coming from corner kicks. It's coming from looping balls.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I know.
So Doosan, for me and Dash, you play a more of an offensive role than I ever have or will. But Doosan to me is a lane player. He needs the ball at his feet in a particular lane. Chiesa, I think the type of Chiesa I think seeing a conversion rate of 12% is actually pretty good, because a guy like Chiesa is going to create 1,000 chances.
Oh, let me go.
Which is always going to be like for me in pro clubs. I'm going to cross it 1,000 times. I'm only going to get a few hits, but he's still going to create. So I think it's a little deceptive statistic for Chiesa, but for Doosan, I think we don't have the midfield to really push on him, which is why we need to get rid of him.
Well, so Chiesa technically is actually overperforming because his expected is 3.6. He's at 4. So in theory, you could say he's on par. Air quotes.
Moneyball. You're moneyballing it, Dash.
It's not moneyballing it, but so Rabiot's underperforming. Doosan is he's bang average at this point, but he's no bueno. The idea is like, for example, Doosan is not a complete 9. I think Doosan is people are gonna get pissed at me, but I think Dusan's a system player. Like
He's just a 3 dressed up as a 9.
That's what I mean by he's a lame player.
He's a Genoa, Salernitana, he maybe a Fiorentina, an Atalanta. He's a gimmick striker. There's nothing wrong with being a gimmick striker. I'm just pissed that Comiso essentially built his training facility off of that fucking transfer.
He made a lot of money off of Chiesa and Bernardeschi too.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. That whole club made a shit ton off of us.
They exist.
They've done well.
Exist because of us essentially.
Oh yeah, we also about buying Bodge.
Juve is the US. Fiorentina is Israel.
Yeah.
Shit's gonna get us canceled now. Damn it.
Oh Lord.
But I mean, you could even say the same thing with Chiesa, right? Chiesa is a system player, right? He's made for a front three. You know, you take him out of a front three, and you're trying to put him in a left mid, or
I think Dash would disagree with that because he loves him as a 10.
So here's the thing, right?
I also disagree with that. I think
I don't think he is. I can do it.
different systems.
No, I don't
The issue, so I'll phrase this. The issue with Federico Chiesa's like, I think I'm a bird, but really I'm a dog. Because like when you look at Chico's capabilities, that's what Campatro calls them. When you look at Chiesa's capabilities, Chiesa physically, ability-wise, is more suited to play a 10, but in his head, he keeps thinking that he's a left winger because he's played as a left wing back. The issue, because his daddy has even said it, Federico Chiesa's dad is like, he's a center forward. He has the attributes of a center forward. Chiesa, with his goals, his ability to shoot from top of the box, the goal against Udinese, the two goals against the Cookies team, all of like Chiesa's showings is like he has all of the build and all of the capabilities. And I think this is starting to be a correlating theme with Chiesa and Dusan, where I think mentally when they're on, they're fucking unplayable, but mentally when they're off, they're absolute dog shit. And I think that's what's irritating me, because like, for example, when we look at our big chances missed, the top two combined for big chances missed both equal a transfer sum of 145 million when you have a conversion rate of 11%. It's just,
I mean, I guess you can. It's a tough sell probably for him, right? Because he didn't play that role in Fiorentina, and his first couple of years at Juve, we had a 10, right?
Yep.
We had a Dybala. So I don't know how naturally, I guess, you can convert to a 10 if you've never played like that. And that would be up to a coach. You know, that's the thing, I guess.
To me, Chiesa would be better on the left wing, where he's able to like use his right foot and then shoot. Whereas I don't know, I don't see him as a 10. Like Dybala and Chiesa are just different players. Like I see
Chiesa's more complete
dynamism in Chiesa, whereas like Dybala, I see skill and flair. Not that Chiesa isn't skillful, but just different players. And I feel like what fits him is on the wings, where he's able to use his explosiveness and then take a really good shot.
Why, if he is not a complete player, why can he not translate that explosive creativity to the number 10 position?
I think he has, as far as creativity and being able to create from shots. The problem, everyone keeps thinking that Chiesa is this left winger. You know, he grew into the academy as a left wing back. Chiesa was a left wing back. He wasn't an offensive winger at Fiorentina. The only time he played left, even when he was at Juve with Pirlo, he was a right mid or a left mid.
Dash is getting mad.
Yo, put on Ella Talk's comment. Put on Ella Talk's comment.
Which one?
The latest one.
This one here?
The corset.
You mean
David, I'm pressing the buttons.
That one.
Because the only time Chiesa was actually a full-blown left winger was during the Euros. Even when he was at Juve, left mid, right mid, where he was essentially playing that wing-back role. In theory, his entire career until Allegri switched him to a 10. So to me, I don't think it's genuine when someone says that he's a left winger. He's a player that started his career and played his entire career on the left, which I understand his tendencies.
Exactly, yeah, because he's been playing as a left wing back, and then now you're playing.
A left wing back and a left winger are two totally different things.
We love him though. Like again, our emotional connection. I think about the Euros
because he's playing on that wing. You know, you still have the yeah, exactly. Which you have the habits and the tendencies. Playing in the center and playing in the wing is a completely different ball game. They're
because
completely different.
so the responsibilities from him playing as a left wing back, it wasn't more so about scoring. It was more so him getting up and being able to put a cross in. Because
Absolutely.
Chiesa's a switch foot. A lot of people don't understand that. His weak foot is a 5-star for our FIFA folk at home. And it's just, for me, it's just, I find it frustrating because, like, for example, he has the capabilities, and his father's even said that he has the capabilities, because with Chiesa, if you put a player that can play with both feet, his most dangerous position, his most unplayable spot is in the middle, because he can go at you left, he can go at you right. Paulo Dybala, everybody knew he was going to hug that right touchline and cut in, which is why Dybala never amounted to what Dybala should have amounted to, was fitness and his one-dimensional ability. Yeah, Dybala would wow you and do that. And my issue is Chiesa has the capabilities of being able to adjust and move somewhere, in a sense. It's just whether or not he's going to do it. And for me, I think that's detrimental to Chiesa's career if he sits there and hugs that left spot. If he's not bouncing around that entire front line, then he gets into a habit. He sets up one way of his play, and that's essentially the end of him, because Chiesa's left foot is just as good as his right.
There's also one factor I see with Chiesa with the playing as a center forward or like an attacking mid. When he dribbles, he likes to put his head down. And sometimes I see him when he had plays where he was able to pass it to Dusan or a Keane or whoever it was as a striking partner. He didn't do that, and he was just like dribbling, and took the chance, but he could have like given a clear open chance. I think that if you're playing that attacking mid role, you got to be able to understand when to pass it to the right player and have that visual, like to understand your striker and understand his movements and to create a really good through ball. I just don't see Chiesa doing that through ball. He has the through ball capabilities. Not that he doesn't have the potential, but I think that he makes that mistake where he's just dribbling and looking at his head down and not picking up his head, where he's able to look at other players where he can create that chance. If you understand that.
So no, I get it, but that falls in line with, okay, so if he's doing that on the left wing and he's doing the same exact thing, that means he's still missing the opportunities in through the middle, right? I think Chiesa needs to mature and understand, the responsibility. But with Chiesa, the issue with Chiesa is he wants the ball at his feet, right? And what spot on the field are you going to get the ball at your feet? In the middle more than you are on the left.
The issue with Chiesa is that we're expecting more than he can give.
That's a fair take.
So you thinking 3-5-1-1 with Chiesa behind the striker?
I think
But
that's
the
pretty much what we've
3-5-2 is still in essence a 3-5-1-1 to begin
It
with.
is.
Yeah, it still falls under that category.
Yeah, it's there's obviously a slight variation in how the attack set up. But yes, it's the same formation generally.
I think the issue is with Juve is outside of Keane, no one else has been able to free up Chiesa on the lanes. Because, like, for example, at this point in this day and age, I don't think I've seen a center back sit there and say, I'm marking Dusan. They essentially let Dusan mark Dusan because Dusan plays defense for the other team at this point with his terrible movements and touches.
I got a pretty interesting question. What if Chiesa and Milik were to be strike partners? Well, how would you see that play out?
I don't see it working at all, because essentially what Milik does is Milik tries to drop down to receive the ball, which then doesn't help Chiesa at all because Chiesa tries to receive it. The only way that – go ahead, Dave.
Sorry, I think just simply Chiesa needs to play off like a solid number 9.
He needs to play off a physical target man.
Which is Kane, really.
Which is only Keane. If we had Lukaku on another hand, I think Chiesa
here we go.
Yeah.
Here it is. Let's go.
I would only use Lukaku for smaller games, sure, but not in big games. I think he would flop severely for big games.
You don't need him to score. You just need him to occupy space and help your other guys get through. That's what Roma's been doing right now, and it's been working awesome. David says
Morata.
Oh, God.
Morata.
No more
It
Morata.
was Team Dusan, and I am regretting it. Like, I have no... And I think we would have been better off with Lukaku for sure. Now, hindsight being what it is, but yeah, at the time I didn't like it because I don't like Lukaku, but it is what it is.
I know. Everyone at the friendly game that went out and protested for no Lukaku kind of just looks dumb now at this point. I think that's the main thing.
I think though, if that's the case, we got Keane. At the end of the day, we still got Keane that can do that job with Lukaku.
Or
Sure, but
Keane has to take that next step.
yeah, he does.
or like that's the thing. Like that one graphic you had, zero.
Zero conversion.
Zero.
Oh, I agree.
But he was wrong too.
Well, hold on. Yeah,
asterisk.
exactly. We all watch those games. Let's not argue about a pinky toe. I'll win.
Let me pull up a stat for you guys real quick.
Well, because if you guys are saying that, like, Lukaku, all Lukaku needs to do is just occupy space and be a target man, I think Keane is the guy, and you don't expect him to score all the time, then, and, you maybe can use Chiesa, utilize him, then okay. But the thing is, it's,
yeah,
but let's say for the Lukaku issue, then we might as well just utilize King as a target man.
Which is a fair take, but the reason why I'm saying I think Lukaku would have helped because one, Keane is still a question mark in high ends with pressure situations, right? Because he hasn't done that. Where it's like if you have a rotating 1 and 2 punch with Lukaku and Keane, essentially they would have been able to share the load, adjust. Keane would have learned a few things from Lukaku. And as well as, like, for example, yeah, like Lukaku's a bottler in big games, but at the end of the day, if I have Lukaku able to fight off 2 or 3 center backs, because the difference between Lukaku and Keane is Lukaku is twice his size. Like, Lukaku is huge.
Yeah,
he's almost as big as David Ellitalk. But Lukaku is able to fight those guys off, where it's like Lukaku's touch is a little bit better than Keane's when it comes to hold-up play, right? As crazy as that sounds. But also
he's bigger and has a better touch. Like he is a better profile.
More experience.
You know who I'm thinking of then? We should get that one guy from England, Akafena, whatever his name is. That really huge player from League One in England. Yeah, we should just get him.
I was going to say get Dave's Pro
like
Clubs.
5 defenders.
Get Dave's Pro Clubs player, like 7'2", 300 pounds.
No, mine's small little bitch. I gotta change him. I got it. I made him small. It's no good. He's no good.
He's also Lukaku's way more of a prolific scorer than Keane. Like way more.
Akafenwa. Is that what you're trying to say, Akafenwa?
I don't know. I couldn't remember his name, to be honest. You know who I'm talking about, though?
The big black dude.
Yeah, that dude is freaking huge.
There's a lot of those.
He can drag the whole defensive line, including the goalkeeper, and we're good. Yeah.
Yeah, get that Touré guy from he used to be at Wolves, the guy that would rub himself in baby oil before every match.
Traore? Yeah, I know
Yeah.
He's Christ. I'm looking at a photo of him now. Adebayo Akinfenwa.
Yeah, for Wimbledon.
40 years old.
David, stop being humble. We know you're yoked.
Yeah,
the channel's just simping over Dave now.
Dave's got that German build, man. He's got the D machine. Like he's being humble.
Protein shakes, he drinks Bavarian beer.
He's like protein. What is that? We have the protein in the brew. It is there. I don't understand what you guys are talking about. That's like my worst German accent ever.
Oh,
but
man,
hey,
That wasn't too bad.
pretty
That was
good.
pretty decent.
it's there.
Guys, I can't believe. Okay, guys, we're at 2.5 hours. This is a nothing week. This was a call-in show. This wasn't even a call-in show.
Yeah. Dash talked the whole goddamn time.
Fucking Dash, man.
Jesus.
Oh man, I got a couple ribeyes I gotta cook up. Just say,
Ribeyes?
got a couple ribeyes.
Yeah, did you season it?
Obviously. Do
With
I
what?
look like a rookie?
Well,
I don't know, man. You gotta take a picture and send it on Discord. That's all.
take a picture of your meat and post it on
like
Discord.
Like a basic bitch.
Show us your meat,
look at my
Dave.
food. Look what I
That
made for dinner.
Instagram lifestyle.
Show us your meat, Dave.
Yeah, the
Don't do it,
influencer
Dave. Don't
edition.
do it.
How many ounces we talking on these ribeyes?
That's what she
Oh,
said.
they're not big ones. We're not. No.
That's also what she said.
Yeah.
I have to run though, gentlemen.
Kyle's got to go to a wedding.
Yeah, Colin's got some festivities. All right,
gonna
Colin, thank
go
you
ahead and do a
for
wedding.
joining your very own show. It was a pleasure.
Pro clubs tomorrow night.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Call in to Pro Clubs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So that was my cue to let's roll this one out because
This was a long ass episode.
we did not expect
Fucking
this one
exhausted.
tonight.
No.
Oh man. Oh man.
I definitely took a nice break. Now I can start writing again and probably think of some unhinged stuff to write about movies. So yeah.
He said bye, Colin.
By Colin. Like Colin Powell.
Part of me is like sitting there. It's like, is Car trolling? But Car's Car being dead ass.
Car is a troll, yeah.
Dave sweats on top of his meat while he grills it. That's no mom is fucking bean chick Car. Oh my god. Fucking Car, man. He says that shit in pro clubs too. He comes in with some out of pocket stuff.
Oh man. I love
it. I love it.
And then he says, as a last question.
Yes.
Yes. What is the last question?
Suspense.
Let's go. The suspense.
What's the last question?
Let's go. My steaks are marinating.
Stop.
They're sweating. My steaks are
Dave's meat is sweating.
Oh,
all right, here we go.
Do you guys have a footballing performance in mind that changed the outcome of a game?
Just in general.
Like me playing? Like is it like me my actual playing career?
Oh, because yeah, if you're talking about me, no, because I'm trash. But I mean, are we talking Juve?
For me, I would have to lose about 40 pounds. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And that would probably be it. And I would have to go to Juve on the free. I wouldn't get paid.
The fans impact.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. The fans impact. Okay, that's a little bit tougher. In particular, the fans. That's such an untangible thing too, right? The fans. That's a hard question.
I mean, I've seen it in the NFL where the fans have had an impact. I've seen it there. I think,
like the 13th man, they call it.
I think prime Juve Ultras from like 13, 14, and then 14, 15. Playing at home was like playing in Turin was one of the fucking hardest ever. And fan impact, Atletico Madrid versus Juventus. I think that was huge. The comeback. The 3-0.
Ronaldo hat trick.
Yeah,
because there's levels to that.
I think Ronaldo dissed Simeone with that cojones celebration.
Yeah. The Allianz during that comeback was big. I think this one also as well. Liverpool's comeback against Barcelona. I think that was another big one. But as far as I think that was huge. If you want to throw in when Juve clapped for Ronaldo, they didn't really do much of the outcome. But yeah, I think the Atletico Madrid comeback for Juve, and then I think the Liverpool comeback was also a big one. But
I want to say
30-page essay is wild. What the hell?
Forget about the Barcelona robbery too.
I want to say just like any game played in Central or South America.
Yeah. To be honest with you, Boca Juniors. Just look up.
I was going to think River Plate Boca Juniors rivalry goes hard. I heard they poisoned one of the players like a while back. Like they were like spraying poison.
I think he means home fans, Car. I don't think the Juve comeback against Roma counts because that was in the Olympico.
There would have been.
Oh, I love that.
The fans impacted a game. They gave us memes for a decade. That's what that one did.
That game, good Lord. All right.
Sal left it. I didn't even realize Sal. Man,
Sal went to go sleep.
Well, with their lack of talking, everyone's going to be going to sleep. We're just like,
right. Yeah, I think we signed this sucker
off. All right, 30-page essay or report. What are you doing?
Yeah. Me? I'm writing like a 10-page essay on a movie. So yeah.
And then Dave has to sweat on his meat.
I have to sweat some meat. Oh baby, I got some red wine ready to go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. What can I say? I got some red meat and some red wine.
Yeah, we have to go sweat the bratwurst. That is something that needs to get done.
All right, guys.
Later.
Dash. Take it away.
All right, cool. Thanks for tuning in for the Colin show. Did you just have a soundbite? The hell was that?
That's what we're. Things are out of order.
Somebody change the names.
Somebody put the shit out of
Yeah,
order.
somebody threw that shit out of order. But anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in to the Colin Show. Colin's Colin Show. Say that 2 times fast. Colin's Colin Show. Colin's Colin Show. But anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in. We gave you guys 2.5 hours of combat content during the international break. So don't say we didn't love you guys. And again, if you guys ever want to hop on, just hop on the Discord. Get it? See, get on this Discord. And hit us up, guys. We're willing to have everyone. I mean, Colin and us don't agree on things, and we put them out there because we don't,
Because he yelled at us, so we let him yell at you.
Yeah, that's fair. So, anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you for some more shenanigans. I don't know if there's gonna be a podcast episode this week, so
stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Forza
Apparently,
Juve. Hug your
yeah.
dog. Hug your cats. Drink water. And whatever. See ya.